laughs like a lady, dresses like a lady.
And dear Lord, if this is the sign you are giving me, your servant, I am lady, I was born lady.
Usire, watu wanatuma 10,000, wewe unatuma 9,000. Kijana yako ni nini? Hiyo 1,000 lazima nishukue sawa. But anyway nimepata.
No way Julia's getting married before me. No way.
Mr. Tisha, you have sent 80,000.
I know a good deal when I hear of one. Now can we see the title deed?
Hey! I am going to own shamba in Mombasa.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Mom! Ask her to come out.
Mom, who are you asking us to see? Why so mysterious?
Yeah, what's up?
It's me. I'm Pinky.
I've lost a lot of precious things, but I don't know why. Will I have to experience it again?
Remember that where there was fire, ashes remain.
Yes, but she's in love with someone else.
With whom you forced her to get married.
You're a murderer. My father died and it was all your fault.
I didn't kill your father. You're crazy.
I am not crazy.
Move away.
He's your son. Don't you treat him like that. I will protect you.
You know that I'll ruin you if I open my mouth.
Our dad ordered you to leave him, but you're rolling in the hay with him.
Just leave us alone. You know you never change.
I'm sure that their love won't last too long. It's because of her, right? You leave me because of her.
Please leave your brother alone.
Someday you'll accept her.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house and get out of my daughter's life.
Gonzalo, please stop.
Get out of here.
Everyone is against us, but they can't make us stop from loving each other.
Dare to leave me.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه غر الميامين. أما بعد, watukufu watazamaji, kwanza kabisa as'alullah azza wa jalla ana wa antum ayataqabbala siyamana Ramadhan. Kwanza namuomba Allah mimi na nyinyi atutakabalie somu hii ya mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani. Mwenyezi Mungu atakabalie somu. Takabbarallahu min wa minkum siyama Ramadhan. Allah utakabalie somu na ibada zote tunazozifanya katika mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani. Lakini ndugu zangu, somu, Bwana Mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam katika hadithi anaisimulia Abu Huraira anasema, laysa siyamu min al-akli wash-shurbi au anil akli wash-shurbi, inma as-siyamu min al-laghwi war-rafath, fa in sabbaka ahadun au qatalaka qul inni imru'u as-sa'im. Mtume sallallahu alayhi wasallam anasema hiyo saumu ambayo ni ibada kubwa, saumu ambayo ni ibada tukaribuka ila Allah, inakukaribisha unakuwa karibu na Allah. Saumu ni ibada ambayo ni rukun min arkanil islami, ni nguzo na ni nguzo ya nne katika nguzo za Uislamu. Saumu ni ibada ambayo matunda yake wanaofunga wataingia katika janna, katika mlango unaitwa Rayyanu, yadkhulu minhu as-saimuna, wataingia katika ule mlango waliokuwa wanafunga mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani. Saumu ni ibada ambayo watu wakifunga, Allah anasema la'allakum tattaqun, fungeni Ramadhani ili mpate takwa na ucha Mungu, na ukishapata ile takwa basi ni visa ama ni passporti inayokupeleka katika janna ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mwenyezi Mungu anasema innal muttaqina fi jannati wa uyun, ama kwa hakika wacha Mungu wenye sifa ya takwa wataingia katika janna na watakuwa na neema ya mito ya maziwa, mito ya asali. Kuna neema nyingi katika janna kwa saumu. Sasa saumu sio kwamba unajiziwia kuacha kula na kunywa peke yake kuanzia alfajiri mpaka jioni, wewe ukaacha kula na kunywa kwamba umefunga. Mtume akasema innama siyamu, ama kwa hakika ya saumu min al-laghwi, kisha uache maneno ya upuzi. Al-kalamu la faidata fihi, maneno hakuna faida yoyote. Mwenyezi Mungu atakabalie saumu yetu, na sisi tuchunge saumu ndugu zangu, tuchunge saumu isije tukaharibu saumu zetu. Takabbalallahu minni wa minkum siyam Ramadan. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well, to buy or to build, that has always been a potential homeowner's headache, because if you choose to decide whichever option, there are pros and cons, but the question has always been, how do you gauge the pros? And it helps you to come up with the best idea. That's the conversation that we want to have this morning as we look into the question of home ownership here in Kenya. You know for sure that the question of mortgage has always been a thorny issue because, of course, the cost of mortgage in this country has always been very high. And despite various policies to try and intervene to bring the cost of mortgage down, well, commercial lenders have never, ever managed to bring down the cost of mortgage in this country. And what do we need to do exactly in order to force or to depress the cost of mortgage in this country? We're also going to have that conversation right here on BizCheck, and later on we shall be looking at the question of engineering in Kenya, the built environment, with the cases of collapsing buildings, going up. Well, we want to look at the quality of our engineers and, of course, the regulations around the engineering fraternity. Those are some of the issues that we are focusing here on BizCheck. And of course, remember, the top leadership of Azimio la Umoja is meeting at Kenyatta International Convention Center. We are keeping an eye to see what exactly is happening there, and some of the issues likely to come up for conversation there include the running mate question that has always been an issue of speculation, and of course the ongoing party primaries, whereby there have been some discontent in some pockets of Azimio. Those are some of the issues that they are likely to discuss there, but of course we'll be keeping an eye and of course keeping our ears on the ground to see exactly and to hear exactly what the party is going to say. We're expecting President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga, among other Azimio la Umoja leadership to grace the occasion. And so our team is already there, and we'll be bringing you all that information once we get it. This is BizCheck. We are live from Broadcasting House. My name is O'Brien Kimani, and of course remember, our reporters are on the ground to bring you the latest in the county near you. The conversation on the home ownership in Kenya is coming up next after this. Well, at O'Brien Kimani is my Twitter handle. At KBC Channel 1 is the Twitter handle. Hashtag BaseCheck is what is likely to trend or what we want to trend this morning. And of course, we would want to hear your views on home ownership in Kenya. Have you ever attempted to buy or to build home, or have you ever actually done that? What are some of the challenges that you went through, and what lessons have you learned that can help some other people on how to evade them or how to go through them? Those are some of the issues that we want to discuss this morning. Remember, I told you that we want to focus on the issue of home ownership. And the question has always been, is it proper to buy or to build? Well, it's all depend on where you stand. And that's why we have George Mboro in studio. He knows a thing or two about building or buying a home. And that's why he's here to help us go through this conversation. He's the CEO of Mrs. Home. He's been here before, and we want to continue with this conversation. Thank you very much indeed, George, for joining us here. I know, being in this business for quite a long time, and of course, amassing tremendous amount of experience.
Sure.
This is a question that has always faced you, be it from yourself or from potential homeowners.
Yeah.
What advice do you give them?
Sure. Yeah, actually from my point of view, I look at it as the question being buying a ready house or buying a house that is off-plan or constructing for your own. Because when you look at buying off-plan, it is basically you hold hands with a developer who has been there, and you hold hands, you walk the journey together. Then there is the issue of buying a ready house. This is a house that already has been constructed by somebody. Maybe they had bought for themselves to live, and maybe for one reason or another they want to sell that property. Or you are buying from a developer who has already developed the property, and now they are selling it as ready. And for sure, as you had said, there are pros and cons for each option that you opt. And now for me, now it is now to try and we diverge into the issue, and we look at the pros for each and the cons for each, because everything has its pros and cons. And for me, when I look at buying a ready property, either you are buying from somebody who is maybe reselling, they had bought but they have a need for money, they want to resell it, or from a developer. You find most of the time it's an expensive affair. And again, you may not know how safe is that building, because the building may be refurbished, or the house, you don't know how it was done. And again, it is an expensive affair. Again, you do not you can't say for sure how stable is this house. So for me, buying a ready one, those are some of the challenges. For one, it's an expensive affair. Again, you do not know how solid, how good, what were the property materials that were used for coming up with this house. Those
so
are some of the
it becomes very hard, for you to ascertain the integrity of the house itself, the structure itself. And also the other challenge is that when you buy an already complete house, I mean, you cannot personalize it. And you see, a home is supposed to be a very personal affair.
It's a very personal affair.
But those are the what you call the cons.
Sure.
What about the advantages of buying a ready house that you're just moving in?
Yes. Yeah, there are advantages of also buying a ready house, because there's no that time. You don't have to wait. A ready house, it is ready for you, you pay, and you get in. So there's that advantage. If you need something very fast, you need to occupy very fast, it's a viable option.
That you can just pay for the house today, and then in the afternoon, you're moving in.
You move in. It's just like it's like you are renting. It's like moving from this house to the other. You have paid rent, you have paid the deposit, you get in. So now this is a house that you are buying. You have looked at everything, the paperwork, the title is good, you have agreed on the price, but you find the price can be a bit high. Now, we look now at the other option of now building.
But even before we go to building, yes. I mean, how then do you get to know whether this price, or what are the fundamentals to consider, if you decide that I'm going to buy a house.
Yes.
There are fundamentals that you have to look into.
Sure.
What are these?
Yeah, fundamentals, whether you are buying a ready house or you are buying an off-plan or you want to build a house, the most important, you need to do your proper due diligence. You need actually to understand, where is this house, first of all, even being sold? Is it a developer who does that? And have they done it in the past? And is the let's say the title, is the title legit? Because once you are buying something, you need to have its titles. Is it legit? So you need to involve
and how do you do that?
Yeah, you do that by involving professionals. When you are buying a property, it's not like you're not investing a few shillings. It involves a lot of money. So you need to do your proper due diligence. You need to know, is this the true owner of this house that you are talking with? Have they agreed to sell the property, for example, because you find it's a couple and maybe the husband is selling, the wife is not aware. Have they agreed that they are going to sell off this property? Because you may find it's maybe a matrimonial home. Somebody maybe has the need of money, and maybe one party decides, let me sell because I need very fast money. Have they come to a conclusion that as a couple or as a family, they are disposing of the property? Yes. If it's a developer, is this their work? And have they been licensed to sell? Have they been selling? And this particular property that they are selling, does it have a title? You need to do the search. Is the title good? Is the property
there encumbrances?
Encumbrances. Then you also need to involve professionals.
Very good.
You need to involve,
I want you to hold on, a thought, because we should be coming back, with more conversation. Remember, the conversation here is around home ownership in Kenya, to buy or to build. But for now, we want to take you to the Safari Park Hotel, where the South African Chief Justice's Forum is currently underway, and this forum is being opened by Chief Justice Martha Koome. Let's first of all go there and listen in, and then we are back.
No African is a foreigner in Africa. Feel at home in Kenya. This is truly your home. This is our home. Africa is our home. The Kenya Judiciary considers it an honor to host this year's Management Committee meeting of the South African Chief Justice's Forum, and also the Judicial Symposium on Digitization and Internet Governance. For us, this is an ideal opportunity for the Chief Justices and other distinguished jurists from across the region to share our experiences, ideas, and perspectives on the administration of justice and the question of digitization and internet governance. My Lord, Chief Justices, ladies and gentlemen, it is a reality that today the importance of digitization and the internet for social and human development cannot be gainsaid. The digitization of government services, including judicial services, is increasingly considered a key ingredient for modernization of public and private sector processes and crucial for enhancing efficiency in service delivery. Indeed, it is now widely accepted that digitization is crucial for the realization of the goal of an agile government process that are expeditious, efficient, flexible, and responsive. Our judiciaries in Africa are testimony to this. In recent times, as we all know, courts across the region have embraced virtual courts, e-filing, and electronic case management systems, which has resulted in improved efficiencies and cost effectiveness in the way we deliver justice. Across various sectors of the society and economy, we have witnessed the integration of the internet, software, social media platforms, algorithms, and digital devices into our daily lives and decision making in the public and private sectors. What this means is that in the near future, many private and public agencies look set to transition to being fully digital or partly digital in their operations. And for us in Africa, we cannot be left behind in this transition, and I'm certain that we can all point out examples of how digital technologies and internets have revolutionized how we operate and access services. In such a context, the governance of this brave new world brought about by the embrace of digitization and the internet becomes crucial given the impact of digital technologies in the relationship between our citizens, private enterprises, and also the state. We've been told that the state is scared of the unknown, especially the power of the internet. So we need to nurture them and encourage them to work with us. Even as we celebrate the advance in social and human development linked to the embrace of digital technologies and the internet, we must acknowledge the reality that digital technologies and the internet also have another dark face or a dark side, as they carry with them significant risk. It is a reality that big technology companies, the ones we call big tech, are behind the digital technologies that we rely on, have amassed significant power due to our reliance on these technologies. For example, private technology platforms such as the Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple, Uber, Twitter, YouTube, Microsoft, and Airbnb effectively control global access to information, services, and products. They play a significant role in setting the parameters of access to markets and freedoms of expression through their proprietary algorithms. Given the immense power amassed by these private entities, there is undoubtedly a need for regulating their operations. It has also become increasingly apparent that in politics, social media has at times been used to divide societies and polarize political systems. This has been a function of the deployment of hate speech, fake news, and disinformation through social media platforms. This concern items in most of the countries in the region during the electioneering period. That is what we are experiencing at the moment in Kenya. Related to this is the abuse of digital technologies and internet for abuse of children who are a vulnerable group in the society. This often takes the form of child pornography and child trafficking. In such a context, the need to oversight and regulate the use of digital technologies and the internet becomes imperative. Given the anxiety and concerns that I have just highlighted, the question becomes whether there are ways to navigate and respond to this state of affairs in a manner that respects human rights norms and standards. And in my view, we should approach the digital world as a global common or public good, which is essentially a common or a shared community asset or resource. And under such a conception of digital world, we would see the problems associated with digitization and the internet, such as cybercrimes, misinformation, political propaganda, and the propagation of hate speech as the polluters of our common shared resources, and therefore seek to protect our common good. For example, the production of disinformation by groups in social media pollutes the environment. creating ethnic or racial tensions and polarization among groups in the society. This therefore makes it necessary to regulate the development and use of digital technologies and the internet just in the same manner as the adopted in tackling the problem of polluters of the environment, which is also a shared common resource. We must pull together to protect our common resource. This approach to the digital world resonates with the influential and widely known concept of the tragedy of the commons that was popularized by Garrett Hardin, whose import is what ungoverned consumption or exploitation of a shared resource by individuals seeking to maximize their individual gain, often as the consequence of learning or destroying the common resource. We have a duty to protect this common resource from exploitation. This is the tragedy that we must avoid as we seek to exploit the common resource, that is the digital world. My Lord Chief Justices, distinguished participants, the digital world demands governance mechanisms that are democratic, participatory, deliberative, and inclusive. This involves embracing stakeholder involvement in designing the governance frameworks. The aim should be to ensure that internet is a digital commons that is used in a way that fosters respect for human rights and social justice and promotes transparency and accountability in governance and in the society. The judiciary thus becomes crucial in enforcing these standards in disputes regarding the justification, legality, and proportionality of state measures such as the internet shutdowns. In my view, judicial intervention in disputes over the governance of the digital world ought to take into account and promote human rights, social justice, and the imperative of public participation and input. It is such an approach that ensures that the governance of the digital world is geared towards promoting this common good and produces a public benefit. To conclude, we are at a critical juncture in Africa regarding our use and control of digital technologies and the internet, and this demands that we put in place governance frameworks that simultaneously oversights the digital world and also harness digital technologies and the internet to promote human development. My challenge to us this morning during this judicial symposium is for us to think through how to design regulatory frameworks and adopt approaches to judicial intervention in disputes over digitization and internet governance that ensure digital technologies and the internet work for the greatest benefit of our societies. I wish all of us very, very peaceful stay in Kenya, and I also wish you fruitful deliberations and look forward to sustaining this joint symposium model as a dialogic to advance the cooperation and judicial exchanges, and to mostly celebrate us in Africa for looking inward for solutions that we encounter as judiciaries. I also welcome you, my brother and sister judges, to enjoy the unparalleled Kenyan hospitality. And my team is fully at your service to ensure that you enjoy your stay here in Nairobi. And allow me to apologize if our hospitality does not meet your expectation. We are trying to do our best to make your stay here most memorable. And with those remarks, allow me, with grace and gratitude, to welcome the chairperson of the South African Chief Justices Forum, the Honorable Chief Justice Mr. Peter Shivute to address us. Thank you very much. Welcome, my brother.
The Honorable Chief Justice Martha Koome, Chief Justice and President of the Supreme Court of Kenya, my lords, colleagues, fellow members of the Southern African Chief Justices Forum, my lady, the Deputy Chief Justice and the Vice President of the Supreme Court of Kenya, my lords, ladies, my ladies, justices, judges, and other judicial officers from the judiciary of Kenya, esteemed collaborating partners, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to be addressing you in my capacity as the chairperson of the Southern African Chief Justices Forum. I take the opportunity to express on behalf of the Forum our unreserved gratitude to the judiciary of Kenya for having graciously agreed to host this year's Management Committee meeting and the Judicial Symposium on digitization and governance in this splendid, beautiful city of Nairobi. My sister, Chief Justice Koome, the Chief Justice of Kenya, our deep vote of appreciation is extended to you for the warm welcome and generous hospitality in the authentic African tradition extended to us all since our arrival here, and the excellent facilities put at our disposal. A special word of appreciation also goes to all collaborating partners for your technical and financial support in hosting this 2-day-long judicial symposium. I have no doubt that partnerships of this nature will go a long way towards the promotion and maintenance of democracy, good governance, the rule of law, and respect for human rights. My lady, my lords, distinguished delegates, before I make my modest remarks on the theme of the symposium, please allow me to briefly share with you what I consider to be important information about the organization which I have the privilege of chairing, namely the Southern African Chief Justices Forum. I do so conscious that the relay of this information might sound repetitive to some of you who are familiar with SAJAF and its objects. However, I beseech your patience for the sake of those who are hearing it for the first time, also to have an opportunity to hear about the objects of this forum. SAJAF is a voluntary association of Chief Justices from countries in East Africa and Southern Africa. It was founded on the 7th December 2003 in Johannesburg, South Africa. The objectives of SAJAF are to promote contacts and mutual cooperation among judiciaries in the East and Southern African sub-regions. The objects are also to promote the rule of law, democracy, and the independence of the courts in the sub-regions, promote and protect the welfare and dignity of judges in the member states, as well as to promote the interests of the judiciaries of member states. Since its inception, SAJAF has annually organized a judicial conference followed by an annual general meeting. In doing so, it has accorded both judicial and non-judicial officers an invaluable opportunity to share their expertise and experiences on issues affecting member jurisdictions, whilst discussing matters of common interest. At the AGM, members of SAJAF elect the management committee from its members as office bearers, who are to be from different member countries. The management committee serves as the principal executive organ of SAJAF. It meets from time to time as may be necessary at locations to be agreed by the members. It is in this context that following a resolution taken at the last AGM in Victoria Falls Town, Zimbabwe, that the judiciary of Kenya graciously agreed to host this year's meeting of the management committee in this beautiful city of Nairobi. As I said, we are grateful for this arrangement, excellent arrangement by the judiciary of Kenya, led by our sister, Chief Justice Kome. Distinguished delegates, returning to the event of the moment, the Judicial Symposium is held under the choice of this theme is informed by the noted growing concerns globally to the unjustified restrictions of access and use of internet services. It is my hope that this event will advance the right of access to information across all sectors of our societies. It is notable that our collaborating...
Well, that is the Chief Justice's Forum, whereby Chief Justice Martha Koome and South African Chief Justice's Forum, Justice Shivute, they're addressing that convention whereby they just want to compare notes and see what the two regions, the East African community and the South African region, the areas of cooperations and the lessons they can learn from each other. We'll keep on, hopping from here to various spots around the city. And of course, remember, we are keeping an eye at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, where the Azimio la Umoja council meeting is currently underway with the various top leadership of the party attending. And so we are keeping an eye. And of course, once we have a clear signal that they are about to talk to the press, we'll be taking you there. But let's now come back to the studio, whereby we continue with our conversation on home ownership, to buy or to build. House owners' headache has always been a challenge. And of course, we're having this conversation with the CEO of Mizizi Homes, George Mboro. Thank you very much. Let's continue. I mean, you were talking about if you decide to pursue the option of buying a house, I mean, the due diligence that you need to do. And we were stuck at confirming or checking the validity of the title deed. Sure. And this is where a lot of people get it wrong. Sure. So the question comes, I mean, then how do you ascertain that the document that I have in the name of a title deed is genuine or is fake?
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. You will notice that nowadays things have become much easier, because previously people did not know where to start if you need to do a search. But nowadays it's very easy. We have land registry all over in the counties. Yeah, so in whichever county that you want to purchase your property, you just need to know where the land registry is. You can either take yourself there, or you can maybe send somebody, a representative, and at a very small cost, 500, you have the search. within a day, within maybe a few hours or a few minutes, you have, and you can actually even dig deeper, know the history, get the green card. Nowadays it's very easy, know the history of that land, has it ever had any caveats and what have you. And again, you can also do more due diligence on the same. When it comes now to the agreement, the writing of the agreement, it should be very clear that we are selling to you this. It is something we have consented as a family. Make sure the spousal consent is there. Make sure everything is good. So that one now involves a lawyer. So you need a lawyer. And again, you need also now to do the, what do you call it, a survey. You need a surveyor to confirm that that land is not public land, because again you can do your search and you find, so that one now is in the survey of Kenya. You can either also go yourself if you understand, or you can make use of a surveyor who is competent. They go and they tell you, yes, this land is there. There are no any, it's not a public land, because you find other people, like we have seen a case, a whole estate was built within a forest reservation. So that one you also need to ascertain this land, this property I'm buying. Go to the survey of Kenya, or have a surveyor do for you the work, have the professionals do for you the work. It will be much easier, but it is something that is not difficult. It is something that if you have the time, you can be able to ascertain yourself. And again, it's always good to talk to neighbors around that area, get to know the history of the place, this land, because you know, again, we as Africans, we are also spiritual beings. Is this land, are there any bad omens? Yeah. So, and you know, when you're buying your home, this is something you are planning to live there. It's an investment. It's a home. Yeah. So you need to do your proper due diligence. Take yourself there. Make use of professionals. And nowadays we have so many professionals, so it has become quite affordable. Previously, it was quite an expensive affair. Getting a surveyor to do for you all those maybe the searches, ascertain the land is there. It was a very expensive affair. Nowadays,
so I mean, so you've done, you know, enough due diligence. I mean, you have gone to the survey of Kenya. You've confirmed that the land is indeed not a public space. You've also done, you've gone to the Ministry of Lands. You've confirmed that the title is genuine. You've managed to get access to the green card, which is a very important document for you to confirm that yes, it is true that this title is genuine, is real, and the owner is real. Is it also important for you to get a professional advice on the structural integrity of the building?
Sure. Yeah, that's another thing, very, very important. Now you have agreed everything. Now you need to look at the integrity. That is where now the issue of engineers, you need also an engineer to come and ascertain, and it's very easy for them, because the most important thing and the integrity, the biggest integrity of any building is the foundation. If the foundation is laid very well, the way it should be, for sure, even the upper part, it is going to be well. But if the foundation of the building or the property you're purchasing was compromised, for sure you'll find that you'll have a problem. And this one can be ascertained very easily by the surveyors. We have, by the engineers. Yeah, look at the swell, were the columns well set? And they just need to look at the columns, the pillars. They'll be able to ascertain this building. Is it very solid? If it's very solid, the other parts maybe you can get a compromise depending on how much they're selling. This paint was not as quality as maybe
those are what we call the aesthetics that you can improve on if you want to, like the color, you know those small details.
Issues you can always.
But it's very hard for you to change the foundation of a building.
The foundation you can.
And if you're going to reinforce it, then it's going to be very expensive.
It will be also a very expensive affair.
And so when you look at all those intricacies, you know, search for title deeds, going to the Kenya survey of Kenya, to check on various issues, hiring engineers, to look at the integrity of the structure. I mean, all those issues, they add to the cost of buying that building, right?
Sure, true.
So how do you get to a point for you to decide that, yes, buying this house is a good idea or is a good deal?
Yeah. Once you do all those investigations and you are comfortable with the costing, because as we started by saying, for sure it is a quite expensive affair. But if you have the means and you do not have the time to wait, and you have the means, here it calls upon you have the means and you don't want to waste time. So if you have the means, you don't want to waste the time, for sure that's the best route for you. But you find for the majority of people who has all that money, that is now where now a developer or somebody who has or is in the field or does that one on a day-to-day basis gets in. Because, like, for example, let's say Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, we have access to lawyers, we have access to engineers, we have access to surveyors, because we are doing for mass, we are doing for many people. When you are doing one unit, it becomes quite costly, because you will pay that person whether you are doing how many. But if for us, like, we are doing several units, you find that cost will be shared among us
it's going to be
distributed. So that one, by extension, also makes the house cheaper or more affordable. Yeah, that's why now, like for us, Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, like for now, we do off-plan. We are constructing together. Yes, there is that issue of waiting for a period of, let's say, 1 year, but you can be able to ascertain the integrity of the land. You'll be assured there's no risk of being hit by a rogue broker. You'll be sure the integrity of the foundation, because foundation is the key. Most people actually, and they will be surprised, most of the customers, they look at the
aesthetics.
The aesthetics, as we have called them. They fail to look at the most crucial, which is the foundation. And the foundation is the most crucial, and it is the one that takes a lot of time. You find somebody who is doing the proper work, the foundation may take some bit of time, because if you are constructing on cotton, you need to excavate all that cotton.
All of it.
All of it. If you do not excavate all of it, you need to be advised by the engineer to have very solid columns, bases. You have strong bases, and that house is suspended with very strong columns. Yeah? There is how you can go about that. But you find most people are not keen on that. Most people are keen on the color of the house, on the small aesthetics, as you have called them. But the most important I can advise for any buyer, for any customer, the foundation is the key. Make sure the foundation is of integrity, of high integrity. The construction, how is the soil? Is it cotton? Is it red soil? How far is it?
Which is the best soil for you to choose, when you're deciding to construct a house?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very, very good question. When you want to build a house, the best soil is one, red soil.
Red soil.
Yes, red soil. This is because with red soil, there's no expansion. With cotton soil.
But in most parts of Nairobi, you have cotton soil.
Yeah, in most parts of Nairobi, you find doing the foundation is quite costly. And this is also an issue that people who opt maybe to construct on their own, and they do not have prior advice, they find it very costly, because you are advised, yes, you have bought this piece of land, it's on cotton. Before you actually start laying the first stone, the amount of money which has gone there already discourages you. And here in Nairobi, for sure,
because you have to remove all that cotton soil.
Yeah,
and you fill it with something else.
For the house to be solid, and for there to be no cracks, for the house not to collapse in case of anything, you must extract all that cotton. Alternatively, there's an alternative. You can have very strong columns, and that can be advised by the engineers.
But that, of course, will be also very expensive.
It will be expensive because you have to make use of steel. We have steel bars. You have to use, depending on the height of the house. You need to look at the kind of bars you are going to use. You can use from D10, D12, D16, D20, depending with how high it is going to. You need strong beams. So if it is going very high, the more the cost of the foundation.
And then, of course, you have to also factor in the cost of concrete.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking of now the columns, you have to factor the cement, you have to factor the ballast, you have to factor the sand, and yeah, everything that goes into that that column, and you know, they're also quite expensive, especially at this time. The cost of living is quite high, so now everything has skyrocketed. Yeah, it's quite expensive. So if you are buying a piece of land to construct, it's very important to look at the soil. How is that soil? And you find that we have people who are professionals on that, advising this kind of soil and how tall the building it can hold. Some of these small issues that people ignore, maybe not using that soil. Somebody who is an expert in that soil analysis. You do not pay a small fee, but in the long run you pay. It's going to be very expensive for you. House collapsing, which is very expensive.
And now that you know, Nairobi is definitely, you know, a hotspot for the real estate industry. Sure. And a lot of people are buying space or land here in Nairobi, and of course opting to construct their own homes without, of course, you know, putting so much thought into what you're talking about. And we know Nairobi, you know, more than 90% of the land in Nairobi is cotton soil. Sure. So is it then a good idea for you to buy land in Nairobi and build there, you know, as an individual?
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. You will notice that most of the land that is in Nairobi and most of the estates, people have built houses for occupying, for people to live. And the few who are privileged to construct maybe bungalows and mansionettes, those are people who are fortunate enough to get those lands maybe as inheritance, or they were able to buy it back in the days, because now the price of land in Nairobi has really skyrocketed, and it's almost impossible to get or to do standalones in Nairobi. Like for example, we do Mrs. Africa Homes Limited, we do bungalows and mansionettes. It's very difficult to do those kinds of houses here in Nairobi because it will beat logic. It will be quite expensive. It will beat logic. The price of land, let's say a 50 by 100 in Nairobi already, without considering the cost of construction, goes into millions, tens of millions. So you buy a 50 by 100 for 10 million. You have not even started the construction. The construction for the house, even if it's a bungalow, consumes more than 2 million. By the time you are done with that house, it's over 15 million. What is the return on investment? So those are
very fine details that you have to look into, and of course think through the process before you decide that this is the avenue that I want to follow. Let's now look at the issue, you know, of off-plan. I mean, it has become very popular, you know, in the last 10 years, but of course it is also one of the riskiest because yes, I'm giving you're selling to me a plan that is on paper, that I want to put up this project, and so you want my money for me to help you in the implementation of that project. But in the process, a lot of people have lost, of course, their money. So how do you safeguard your interests, you know, as a potential homeowner, that you do not invest in a project that is going to get you into losses?
Yeah, thank you very much. As we stand today, what I can call upon, especially the government, because we know nowadays we have housing being one of the big four agendas, which means this is something that the government should give a priority. And this is something I feel it is a high time, and it's long overdue for us to regulate housing the way it should be. And private developers, they are given the support, but there is also the regulations. You are given you are supported, but again, you are given you also become responsible. You are accountable to somebody. And I will give an example of our banks, our banking sector here in the country. You will find it is actually one of the most attractive things here in the country. If you go to the money markets, you will find banks are doing so well because they have become so attractive. Why? Because they have a regulating body, the CBK. And by so doing, there is also a level playing ground, such that, for example, this bank can't charge this interest more than there's that level playing ground. So what they all have to do now, they just need to do something very simple. Customer service, customer care, everything is well catered. And you find that even foreign investors, our financial international partners, they are ready and willing. The World Bank is ready and willing because you have a body here which is regulated, which is well established. You find you attract even foreign investors. So as we stand, this is a call as a country, because we are becoming a middle income earner by Vision 2030. That's our Vision 2030. Some of these things we can benchmark from our financial institutions, and the same we take into the real estate sector, which is also a very lucrative or a good source of income or revenue for our country. And as we stand for now, because we have not gotten there, we'll get there. The most important thing now for customer or somebody who is wants to partner with a developer is you need to be very keen on the kind of a developer you are dealing with, because you find some of the people who are doing it and they had gotten into it because of the love of the money, which is the cause of all evil, and maybe they duped some people and they went with the money, and now it catches up to them. They rebrand. They change the names, they become
and
new
that is
entities.
becoming, actually, that is becoming so rampant.
Yeah. So you need to be very careful. You need to know the history of the person you are dealing with. Are these people who have the interest of the customer to have an affordable house? Don't be encouraged by just the outside. Also seek to understand these people. Talk to people who have done it, have walked the journey, and you get to hear for sure everything has their challenges here and there. So talk to somebody and you hear the challenges the people maybe who you are have walked the journey are talking about. If it is small issues of let's say the escal, yeah, those small issues, those are things you can deal with. But you feel somebody is telling you, I dealt with that person, I lost my money, I burnt my fingers, and again now you say, let me take this. There's a big difference between taking a step of faith and going into a risk, knowing.
And jumping
into the fire.
Head on, into a risk.
Yeah, but it's important to take that leap of faith, because for sure you need the house. You know, if you need to go it alone, it will be quite expensive and it's actually more riskier. But you can join with people who are doing it. They have the interest of the client, of people who need homes at heart. Yeah.
And then the other issue that comes, of course, is, yes, indeed, of course, I mean, I've done my due diligence, and I can confirm that, the company that I'm dealing with is genuine, is, it is well registered in Kenya, and the people that you're dealing with, of course, they are people of integrity. But the other issue is, how do I confirm that, yes, I'll get value for my investment, at the end of the day. I want to get what they are promising is what they are going to deliver at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's very simple, and it's a very small formula in mathematics. For you to know the unknown, you start from the
knowns.
Yeah, start with the small. What do you know? What do you know about these people? When did they start? Which projects have they started? Where are they? Have they been delivered? Are they on course? It's very easy. Start from the simple. Start from the known automatically, and even in anything. If you understand the history of anything, even when now we are in politics, if you want to understand what kind of a person you are dealing with, look at their history. Look at when he was a small person down there. How are they? The same case when you're doing your proper due diligence for a company, you want to invest your money. Look at how is the journey so far, what have they delivered, within how long. If you feel for sure this person, maybe he has not hit 100%, but is at 80%, 90%, I'm able to take that leap of faith, because there's a difference between taking a risk and a leap of faith. Take the leap of faith, because again, you can't just hold your arms and expect things to happen, because things are becoming expensive day by day. So you can say, let me wait until there's that somebody who will be very comfortable with, and maybe you take your 2 years. You had saved 2 million. I'm telling you, in the next 2 years, the cost of housing now will be even higher because of inflation and cost
that
of
one is guaranteed.
Yeah, so take the step of faith. Say this person, and I normally encourage, just like getting into a marriage. You can't say you're not getting any younger, and you say, let me wait for the beautiful ones to be born. It is you work with what you have. You look at somebody, do they meet at least 80% of what I look for in a partner? The bare minimum, because this is a long-term thing. This person, do I want to have a family with him? Yeah. So the same case when you're buying a house. Do your proper diligence. This person is coming from here. They may not be 100%, because for sure, even with our country, we know we are still work in progress. Yeah, and even ourselves, we are work in progress. But if they meet the minimum threshold, you have your minimum threshold. For me, my house must be this standard. Yeah,
those are what we call the irreducible minimums.
Irreducible minimums. Then take the step of faith, move with time. You will find that, and actually construction is something that is easy once you are used to it.
Very good. In the interest of time, because I can see our time is very well spent, now you have done all that, and you have paid, you have given the deposit that is needed, and now the project, has already kicked off. Sure. How do you follow through for you to know that people are not cutting corners, like when it comes to foundation, it has been done well. When it comes to the columns and beams, everything has been done according to standards. So that you don't end up, getting into a house that is structurally completely off.
Yeah, sure, very true. The most important thing, in case you get yourself to get a home through the off-plan model, what I can encourage anybody, do not just give your money, then stay and wait for the ready house. Like for us, Mrs. Africa Homes Limited, our sites are open for visit anytime. So if there's nothing to hide, then there is no problem. It's normally said you should trust somebody, but always verify, because if there is nothing to hide,
but confirm.
Sure, yeah, confirm. So if there is that transparency, because the issue of transparency when it comes to off-plan is the most important. Is there transparency? Can I go and see my house? Can I see the kind of a column? Can I even take a piece and go and see whether it is it's a quality? Yeah, so that transparency, once it's there, for sure, even it's like you are building. For off-plan, it's like you are in between buying and constructing. That is like the middle ground. You are buying, yes, because you are making use of professionals and people who understand the industry in totality. And again, you are doing it because you are involved each and every step of the way, and that's why we Mrs. Africa Homes Limited, for sure, within our short time that we have stayed, we have attracted a very huge clientele, and this is because of that transparency. Somebody comes to the ground, they see there's nothing to hide.
Very well. Because we have to wind up, quickly, I want to hear from you in about 15 or 20 seconds.
Sure.
There's somebody who is asking a question here, Rose Kivaya, on Twitter, and they're asking between buying a car, getting married, or buying a house, what should you opt for first?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very good question, because those are things that we need. Now, I can't tell you to buy a house so that you get married. Maybe that wife is one who will come with your support to buy that house. Again, if you use your car to move around, it's your tool of trade. Maybe you need it to improve on getting income. I can't again tell you to stop not buy a car. But key point here, what kind of a car are you buying? Is it a car that is just luxury you want your friends to see, to know that you are doing well? And if you are marrying, are you marrying a wife because of beauty? Yeah, because so that people can see? It depends what is the motive. And for sure, those things are crucial. You need a home, you need a family, you also need a car because of mobility. Now, it's up to you now to prioritize. I can have a small car, yeah, to help me move around, and actually to help me make more money. Yeah, I need a wife because I need a shoulder to lean on. I need somebody to motivate me, somebody I can share my dreams, and they can come and we walk the journey. And that one of that dreams is to own a home. They maybe have their income, your income. Can we put it together in a circle? Within no time, can we take a loan? Can we go to Mrs. Africa Homes Limited? We start that
or
journey
any other
of owning a
company
house.
for that matter.
Yeah, because for sure, or any other company, because for sure, no single company in Kenya or even anywhere can be able to meet the need of housing, because the housing need is so big
and diverse.
Yeah, and diverse.
Very good. Thank you very much. I mean, you know, the length and the short of it is that it's all depend on what you want to do at the end of the day.
Sure.
Thank you very much indeed for your invaluable insights, you know, and of course joining us here to help us through with that. It's a very complicated, of course, subject, and of course, a lot of people, you know, have fallen prey, you know, to cons and lost their entire savings.
Information is power.
Yeah.
So I'm also happy you have invited me. Let's keep on sharing. If people have this information, these things becomes easy.
Very good. To buy or to build, that's a conversation that we have been having here with George Mboro, the CEO of Mizizi Africa. And of course, you have heard it from him. It's up to you now to deduce what works for you and then you go for that idea. Because remember, there is no one fit for all. Every person is different and every need must be addressed, you know, accordingly. You're watching Biz Check. We are live from Broadcasting House. The conversation around the engineering industry in Kenya is coming up next. So stay right here. And of course, remember, we are still keeping an eye on what's happening at Kenyatta International Convention Center, where the top leadership of Azimio la Umoja is meeting, you know, to deliberate on a few issues, you know, that are facing the party. And so we'll be keeping an eye on exactly what is happening there. But for now, let's first of all switch gear to a different topic.
Remember that where there was fire, ashes remain.
Yes, but she's in love with someone else.
With whom you forced her to get married.
You're a murderer. My father died and it was all your fault.
I didn't kill your father. You're crazy.
I am not crazy.
Move away.
He's your son. Don't you treat him like that. I will protect you.
You know that I'll ruin you if I open my mouth.
Our dad ordered you to leave him, but you're rolling in the hay with him.
Just leave us alone. You know you never change.
I'm sure that their love won't last too long.
It's because of her, right? You leave me because of her.
Please leave your brother alone.
Someday you'll accept her.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house and get out of my daughter's life.
Gonzalo, please stop.
Get out of here.
Everyone is against us, but they can't make us stop from loving each other.
Dare to leave me.
This week on Magical Scenes, we take you to City Park in the county of Nairobi. For anyone who uses Limuru Road will never thought of such a magical destination, a hidden jewel in the green city in the sun.
I come to rest here mostly because the climate is conducive.
Magical Scenes, Thursday, only on Channel 1.
Madam Kathy is walking to your office right now. Is that okay?
Can you tell that Instagram receptionist to viewers that I'm not one to be asked questions?
Hey Rada, hello to you too. Alafu wewe ndo tukuite nani?
Please, msiniite.
You invited your sister here without my knowledge.
Hakuna mambo, ni lazima.
What do you mean ni lazima?
Nikuulize, ati nasikia una hama?
And who told you that?
Sasa unajua kwenu mkiongea kitu ni kama Radio Taifa, habari zinasambaa kila mahali. So ungeniambia tu nikutengenezee kahawa. I doubt you know how I like my tea. Hizi vitu tumefanya kwa miaka na nini. My tea is special.
I know you don't like Jonte.
You're right.
And I don't care.
Does he have a job? Does he have any goals? Any dreams? Is he even allowed to dream?
Kupitia uwekezaji unaofanywa na serikali ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta katika miradi kadhaa kwenye kaunti, wakazi wana mengi ya kusimulia. wiki hii kwenye Project 254.
The state of our devolved units is strong and must be seen to deliver measurable improvements in the standard of living of our people.
Distance yenye una cover saa hii na 45 minutes, kitambo ulikuwa una cover na 1 to 2 hours So tumefurahia sana hivi venye hii barabara imeexpandiwa.
Sasa serikali hii ya Uhuru Kenyatta imetuinua kibiashara, kimaisha na mambo mengi.
Jimmy Havoc, you and old man, sir, we've been dancing a long damn time now. You beat me, I beat you.
Heart Foundation. Very, very impressive.
There are only two choices in this match. Are to get knocked out or to tap.
Rolls into the ring. No! Puma King, Irish whip stopped. Taken down. Knee right to the temple. And a headbutt than we expected. Oh my God! Nobody home on the moonsault.
Of our interview.
Welcome back to Biz Check. We are live from Broadcasting House. Now time to get into our second conversation. And of course, we want to look at the state of built environment. And of course, we're joined by two critical players in this industry. And of course, this is the Engineers Board of Kenya Registrar and CEO, Engineer Margaret Ogai. Thank you very much indeed for finding time to be with us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Very good. And of course, Engineer Patrick Wambulu, he's the chair of Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya, which is also another critical player in the built environment. Thank you very much, Engineer, for your time. I first of all want to hear from you. How would you describe the state of built environment in Kenya as we stand?
Thank you. The state, I would say, there is an amount of chaos in the built environment. Yes, yes, which comes from poor planning, which is outside engineering. That's the physical planning. So we need to create a good physical planning, and what the planners call structured. Integrated plans for our areas to streamline the built environment.
The key word here is that there is chaos.
Yes.
Do you agree with Engineer Wambulu that
I think
this industry is in chaos?
I think I'd like to just approach it differently, and I think it's good he's brought out the issue of chaos. But in reality, I think we have a very strong sector both in construction, and which is and it is a good sector, and it is contributing to the ordinary lives of Kenyans. The way we travel from our homes to our offices, the food production, talk about the water supply that you have, the electricity we have, telecommunications. So we have a robust sector, which is contributing to the economic growth and socio-economic growth of our country. And I think it is very good. We have competent engineers, we have competent contractors who are doing great work out there. We have competent planners and good people generally. But I think what he was praising is that, of course, there's always room for improvement, and there are definitely gaps when we look at the whole practice. And these are the areas we'd want to highlight, both to government and to the Mwananchi, so that we are able to have an even better built environment in Kenya.
Well, if you're just joining us, of course, we are live from Broadcasting House, and our conversation is around the state of engineering here, engineering in Kenya. And of course, if I can bring you up to speed, in the last 2 years, more than 50 buildings, have collapsed, and this has cost around 20 lives. That's according to statistics by the National Construction Authority. And the country has about how many? 15,000 registered graduate engineers. Okay, and of those registered graduate engineers, the certified number of professional, or what we call professional engineers, is about less than 3,000, right? Yes, 3,000. And so the question has always been, how do we improve or increase the number of engineers, certified engineers in this country, bearing in mind that every year thousands of graduate engineers, are entering the job market. And that's why I want to hear from you, Engineer Margaret Ogai. So what we need to accelerate, the registration or the certification of graduate engineers in Kenya?
Oh, thank you very much. I think that's a topic that's very dear to the board. We have a strategic intent to register 10,000 professional engineers in the next 5 years. And we have made
10,000?
Yes, to move from 3,000 to 10,000. That will achieve...
So that's about 7,000
7,000 more. We have a deficit of 7,000. And this will achieve the UNESCO ratio, which talks based on your population. You should be 1 to 5,000. 1 engineer to every 5,000. So we think we are on the right track. And we've seen a lot of improvement. This year we've registered 300, and some of the plans we've put include having a graduate engineer internship program, which is partly funded by government. We are able to absorb 300 engineers as the Engineers Board of Kenya in the last 2 years. Our agencies are also cooperating and collaborating with us. We have a number of engineers undergoing training. And we are seeing the transition numbers coming a lot, especially I would talk about Kenya National Highways Authority. They have a very robust program, and we have seen the numbers are going up. And we are also talking to private sector. I think we have initially been forgetting the private sector, but they employ engineers in the manufacturing space, and therefore we've talked to them, and we are coming up with MOUs, and we are going to see our numbers going up. Of course, we are appealing for a more structured, even funding around this issue. So we're looking at maybe if we can get, I think at Tanzania, we did a recent benchmarking, and we found what they do, a percentage of the project costs are used to do the training of engineers. So we are looking at that so that we can move the numbers up. You can see we are graduating 2,000 every year. We have a deficit of 7,000. This 300 I've talked about is just a drop in the sea.
It's a drop in the sea.
So I think that is something we are looking at, and we are trying to coordinate with government so that we can have allocate budgets through projects. It might be easier.
You're talking about, you have certified about 300 this year?
This year alone is 300.
300?
Yes.
And, your target is 7,000 more certified engineers in the next 5 years.
Yes, please.
So which translates to about 1,200 and something, engineers every year, right?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So do you see yourself, hitting that target, by all means?
Yes, I think I'm confident we will. What we are doing is we have said every year we are calling ourselves double. Next year, we expect to do 600 to 700. And we are doing it by also collaborating with the industry. And I think I'm very glad I'm here with my colleague from the Association of Consulting Engineers, who also are a great trainer of engineers, because when they get the job, they employ graduate engineers, And under mentorship of professional engineers, they then come to us for registration. So through that partnership and collaboration, I do believe that we are going to increase our numbers. We've also put many other structures in place. We have increased our professional interview panels. And I think one critical aspect always is about the resources. We are looking at increasing our resources. But ultimately, I think we must partner, because the engineers to train the other engineers are out in the market already. It's a question of linking up these two people.
I want to hear from Engineer Wambilwa. As Association of Consulting Engineers of Kenya, when you look at the strategies that the Engineers Board of Kenya and other sector players have put in place to recruit more professional engineers into the market, are you convinced that in the next 5 years, we are going to have 7,000 more certified engineers added into the market?
Yes, those numbers can be achieved, and the policies and the structures they have are okay, but it is not the Engineers Board that employs. They certify.
So their work is to certify.
Yes, so it is the economy that has to grow. And my experience, whenever you have an economy scoring more than 5%, then there is always growth in the construction industry, and these people can be employed.
They can be employed.
They can be employed. Yes.
When you look at the fact that every year about 2,000 graduate engineers are being are graduating from our universities, and you have a target of employing about or certifying about 7,000 more graduate engineers. It means that in the next 5 years we shall have about 10,000 more, if the numbers are not going to increase, right? We are going to have more than 10,000 graduate engineers. So how do you ensure that you don't have such a huge backlog going forward?
The growth of the economy absorbs these people in employment and gives them good experience, because immediately you walk out of university and you walk into a job that gives you proper professional training, then you quickly transition into a professional engineer, because you have gone through a proper training phase for you. That's how I look at it.
Can I also add? I think, thank you, and I agree. I think also we are looking as a country, we want to also start exporting professional engineering services. In fact, we're in a very big discussion today on liberalizing engineering services in the continent of Africa. So we are looking at also serving. Our engineers today have been serving. I think if you look at Southern Africa, in the 80s and early 90s, a good number of professional engineers were working in Lesotho, Southern Africa. Botswana. That has gradually, we've really, I think that gradually they have built their own capacity. But now that we also have the opportunity of DRC having joined the EAC, I believe we should be looking at exporting not just goods, but engineering services. So I personally say we're not looking at only our Kenyan market. We are looking at ourselves going out there, because we'll have the competitiveness. So our engineers are not only working here. So we're also having engineers who are training outside of our country. We have mutual recognition agreements so that your training gets recognized here and you can become registered here.
But
so I think those are some of the other strategies.
But even as we plan, to start, the export of professional engineers, to our neighboring countries, do we have enough professional engineers, to serve the Kenyan market?
And that's why I said it's two throngs. You talked about the backlog. So I said to me the backlog
is of
also
graduate engineers.
Is of graduate engineers, and I'm saying they're also we can also export into the market out there as we expand our markets.
But what should be understood, export of professional services is not the same as export of goods. Because when you export a good, it has exceeded the Kenyan market. But when I export my services, I will work in Rwanda on Monday, and on Tuesday I will be back in Nairobi, and on Thursday, and on Friday I will be in Uganda. So I am still available, but that enriches even our local competitiveness.
Engineer Wambilwa, as the chair of ASEC, Do we have enough engineers in this country to serve the Kenyan market?
Yes. Let me answer that one, please.
You want to answer on his behalf? I'm also coming to you because I also want to. But even let's first of all, even before we go to engineer Ogai, I want to hear from you as ASEC.
Yes, there is something that should be differentiated: the numbers of engineers and the capacity of firms.
Okay, elaborate.
Yeah. Now, engineers do not serve in consulting engineers only. They are in all industries. Yeah. They are in construction industry, consulting industry. They are in teaching, research, manufacturing. So the challenge is not the numbers of individuals, but the challenge is on the capacity of the firms that are providing engineering services.
So, and when you look at our capacity,
that capacity is what makes us look weak. But in terms of numbers and heads of people,
we have enough.
We have enough.
So you wanted to interject?
Yeah, I wanted to say, because I think one of the things we've not been doing before is really appreciating that we have on our roll as an engineers port of Kenya close to 18,000 graduate engineers already on our roll. So we have trained as a country, we have a good stock of well-trained engineers, or let me say educated, let me not use the word trained, because there's now the professional training that comes 3 years after. So that is already in our market serving us. I think the issue we're talking about now is translating that to become a professional engineer. And like he says, you're not only training for consulting is still fairly weak, we are training them for all aspects of the economy, including leadership. I mean, you would want to have, we already have 2 PSs who are engineers. We have very many heads of organizations who are engineers. So we also now, you start translating and you have leadership coming through that. So I'm saying there's never enough of well-educated people, specialized training, and therefore we should embrace that we have this group of highly specialized trained people, and all it is to actually now focus them towards the market that we want. And I know, and the most important is that they then contribute to the production and the productivity within the economy of our country. Yeah.
Engineer, Wambulu, talked about, the numbers, absolute numbers, in terms of, heads, the number of qualified or certified engineers in this country vis-a-vis the capacity to service the Kenyan market. And you're saying that is where we have a mismatch, right?
Yes.
How do we deal with that, or what kind of a mismatch is there?
To deal with the capacity of companies requires the intervention from national government in terms of enforcing or promoting what they call local content, where Kenyan companies are given opportunity to take on jobs in this country. As part of liberalization, and no country, we cannot say we should not liberalize, but no country develops without liberalization. But if you liberalize to the disadvantage of your national people, then it weakens.
Liberalization must be structured to meet or to serve the interests of that country.
Yes, yes. So local companies are building capacity because you have earmarked certain percentage of the budget for those jobs to be done by Kenyan people. Then you are developing the capacity of those consulting firms, construction companies, even industries to be competitive not only in Kenya, but even outside Kenya. There is an international competition I face in Kenya without leaving Kenya, because you have a foreign company coming to bid the same service to provide in Kenya. So I need to develop my capacity. I am serving in Kenya, but to international standards. And this can only happen if there is a structured way that the budget allows that up to a certain amount of money, this level of contract is done by Kenyans. And that way, you are building the capacity of the Kenyan to serve here and abroad. If you open it for the foreigner, and everything is gone, then the Kenyan company will not develop capacity to serve here or anywhere else in the world. So we'll be colonized at home.
You're bringing a very interesting, conversation here around. And I know there has been uproar, in the past because of the influx of foreign engineers, who are taking up jobs in the country that can actually be done by locally trained engineers. But as the industry regulator, what are you doing to ensure that the capacity of engineers in Kenya is enhanced?
Thank you for that. I think we are doing a lot. We're doing a lot, and let me start. As I said, we are trying to come up with structured training for our graduate engineers. Our problem has been to expand that space, because even if I send to Engineer Wambulwa and with his consulting firm, maybe 15 graduate engineers, depending on the workload, he will not be able to absorb them. So on the one side, we are trying to look at that. Projects, can we have an allocation? We are looking at, as he says, we are working and partnering with other government agencies. If it is immigration, we want to partner with them so that before there is we actually, what we do right now as we regulate, we have registration of temporary engineers. These are the foreign engineers, because there are certain areas we do not have the capacity or the competencies. It is a fact. We live in a global village, so there are some things we are going to absorb. But we have when we get an application, we check that we actually don't have that competency, and then we also ask them that you must then mentor 2 or 3 engineers, and they have to show us the plan. In the next 3 years, while you're doing this project, how you're going to also mentor the engineers, local engineers, so that in the long term, they take over that function. Yes, and I think the biggest thing that we are doing, apart from that, we also are developing, we have a capacity development function as Engineers Board of Kenya, because unless the capacity of our engineers is such that they are cutting edge in their knowledge, in the technologies that we are using, obviously they will not also slip away when it comes to the competition. And I think the big one, the big elephant in the room, must be to do with enforcement. And I will say this, partly when he feels that his space is shrinking, it is to do with, we have a lot of laws, even regarding thresholds. But are we actually implementing that? We have buildings, you talked about buildings collapsing. We are trying to look who actually designed, developed, supervised this work. And quite often, we have seen that we are not actually using the people who are competently trained in a certain area to do certain work. And these are the things now the regulator comes in, so that we ensure if it is a building, when it gets approval from the county government, it can only be supervised by a professional engineer. That is one space that has been a bit not going very well for us. We are trying to improve on that.
I'll be coming back to you because I was going through the report that the draft report that was released by EBK, on the number of buildings, that have collapsed and the reasons. And one of the issues was that we do not have proper capacity at the county levels. And when you have about 47 counties in a country and only a few of them, they have hired qualified engineers, then you have a challenge there. But first of all, before I come to that, I want to hear from Engineer Wambulwa. I have heard from the Institution of Engineers of Kenya saying that they would want about, is it 0.05% of the local infrastructure budget, set aside for training of engineers. What is so hard about implementing such a policy?
I think the registrar would be more competent, but I don't think it is written in any policy document and in any law. But my thinking, going by the practice in developed countries, it is good to invest in training beyond university. And this money goes in research and training programs, where you are identifying the industry or sector needs and prioritizing them. Then you develop capacity building programs, and you also do research programs, and those come back to inform policy intervention to grow our economy. We look at it as we are talking engineering, but I think we are talking development. And if you may allow me to touch on the devolution, the devolution structure, there is no local government in Kenya. So in the absence of a structure for local government, you cannot provide local engineering service, or let's say municipal service on the ground. And this is a gap. Our devolution structure has not touched the ground. So you get solid waste is not being collected. You are having stormwater. When there is a heavy rain, it carries people off. The issue of development planning and development control, they are not being touched on the ground because you have high offices which are not delivering the service on the ground. And that's where the engineer works. The engineer is there but has not been given an appointment letter to be told you are the municipal engineer. Provide the service.
I still want to come back, to the issue that I was raising, about setting 0.05% of our infrastructure budget, to go towards, the training of our engineers. I know it's not a policy yet.
Yes.
But I know it has been a proposal by the Institution of Engineers of Kenya.
Yes.
So what I wanted to find from you is this kind of if you were to implement this kind of a policy, is it so hard, number one, to implement, and number two, to enforce?
Now I come from private sector, so I cannot speak for national government. But from private sector, private sector, I would like to say it is necessary.
It is necessary.
We should do it like yesterday.
I like your cautious approach. Because the regulator is here.
Because if I would like to develop, I should look at somebody else who went ahead of me. So I should throw my eyes to the US, throw my eyes to UK and other developed countries. They, like both the developed countries, they have what they call the academies of engineering.
Yes.
And through the academies of engineering, government puts money
into those academies
to fund research.
And to enhance the capacity of local engineers.
And to do specialized sector studies, like we would like to produce a vaccine. So what goes into it, the full chain. Or Kenya would like to be self-sufficient in production of a given product. What is the full chain that should go in? These researches are funded through the academies, and then the private sectors and the government pick components of those findings to run with them. So I would like to strongly say, yes, we need that allocation from the government to support training, not only engineers, but all professionals.
All disciplines.
All disciplines.
I'll be coming back to you because I would also want to find out, I mean from you, when you look at the average age of an engineer, especially in the academia, I mean, we are talking about 50 what or 60 what now?
Could be. Where did you get your statistic? But I would say, well, it could be in the 50s. It could be maybe late 40s.
Not late 40s.
Late 40s.
You're talking about almost 60 years.
No. I think it is good. We look. I think an average means you take all the population and divide.
Yes.
And it was also good to be fair that we do have still a number of. I think we are looking at registration. You can do it after 3 years, but of course majority are doing it after 10 years or so. 10, 15 years. That's how I was trying to average. And you think between 45 or so, we have a lot of engineers who are.
Are you trying to say that you can go to a local university and find a lecturer in engineering who is in their 40s?
Yes, and why not?
It's possible.
Yes, it is.
Do you agree?
These statistics I haven't done, so I may not know. But I know what one of the constraints that I have had when they put this requirement for a PhD, that you must have a PhD to be a lecturer.
To be a lecturer,
Then you know, it takes, when it was masters, people would graduate with a bachelor's at 25. They do a master's in 2 years, and therefore by 30 you would get lecturers at the university.
And then you go through another 3 years before you're certified.
But when they lifted that to PhD, then you can hardly get it until you are 35.
Until you're 35.
35, 38 is when Kenyans are getting a PhD.
So it's possible.
So you find now the bar has been lifted. So, but this is why I'm saying that there is need to provide funding, because you would say engineering education, and then you go in detail to understand
what you need.
If I must meet my Vision 2030, Africa Agenda 2063, SDGs, what must I do for engineering education? And that finding gives action plans.
Is because, you know, I have had, you know, prior conversations with the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and actually they were raising concern that when you go to our institutions of higher learning, the average age of the lecturers there or the professors there, you know, is between 50 and 60 years, because universities are not employing, fresh and new lecturers, you know, in the field of engineering, because number one, it is costly, and number two, most people are going into private, into consulting, you know, privately, whereby, you know, there is a lot of money. So that's why I was raising that question.
You know, there are different ranks even within the whole faculty. And so I was looking at the whole, you know, of course we have senior lecturers and above, and professors and heads of departments, but I was also looking through the full value chain. We still have engineers who have a master's degree and are offering education in the universities. I think our biggest challenge actually is that group have also found it very hard to register to be professional engineers. And so we are coming up with specialized training programs for academia. We are at the tail end of coming up with an MOU, because we want also our lecturers to also have the practice, the perspective of the practice as they lecture. And I think that to me will be the only barrier, that we are also requiring that they be from senior lecturer and above. You need to be a professional engineer. And that is the other barrier that is coming forward. But really, I was looking at, you know, it's not just, you're probably looking at the heads of the entire value chain. The entire value chain. We do have engineers who are especially with the master's degree, they do train. And that's why I was like, it can't be that is 50, 60.
But for professor, many people are touching professor when they are close to 50.
Close
or
to 50.
Slightly above.
Yeah, but I think it happens
but in terms of assistant lecturer, senior lecturer, I think they can do it in 40s.
Help me understand things. And have we updated, you know, our training, you know, in our institutions of higher learning? Because you know, the entire engineering fraternity is changing because of technology and new emerging needs. But have we upgraded our training capacities?
Again, I would like to say I'm not very close to training.
But you are very cautious.
Yes, because I'm more in practice. I
think what he has his area and his perspective, which is what we want to bring forward, rather than doing this.
I would like to talk about what I need in the market. What I need in the market for engineering, not to offer too many specialized bachelor's degrees. You provide broader, faster degrees, civil engineering, electrical, mechanical, but the universities should introduce more master's degrees, which are specialized, and for the government to support that.
Is that happening?
That is what is not happening.
That is not what
because you are given a specialized bachelor's degree, which is too narrow. When you come in the market, you are not broad enough for the market, neither are you specialized. And I think this is why, this could be one of the factors that the Engineers Board had a quarrel with the universities. And when you actually work with these people in practice, you realize there is something missing.
So there is a mismatch between the training and the job market.
Yes. So the degree, there should be fewer, not fewer in numbers of people being trained, but fewer in number of the names of the degrees. and their content should be broader. But then people specialized.
So
with more masters, but the masters to be supported, because I think the direct funding or supporting of masters postgraduate studies is not that strong.
Engineer Wambula is bringing another dimension into this conversation, because yes, it is true that every year we are graduating 2,000 fresh engineer graduates in this country.
Yes.
But what is their quality in terms of training?
Well, I think let me start by saying we deeply appreciate the work that is being done at the universities. It's always good to be fair and say we are all products of university.
Yes.
And we do have universities that are adhering to the highest international standards. At the same time, we started having a lot of dynamism regarding the engineering programs being launched. And we are now in good discussions with the State Department of University Education, the Commission of University Education, ourselves, to bring the perspective of what the market needs. And I can also say we have a very good group called the Council of Engineering Deans and Principals, which also came and saw there was a concern, because as you bring to the market, actually we are also having the same challenge. One engineer graduate might say they are not also sure whether they fall in under the degree under the stream, the discipline of civil engineering or agricultural engineering, and these are deep concerns. So I know through that council and with the discussions we are having, we are making a lot of headway, so that we also sort of have really what we want is a standardized approach to the quality and standard. So I'll not say the quality is bad, but it is varying. And some universities are really not meeting the standard. That is also good to state. We are having some universities, graduate engineers are teaching very courses which really we expect to be taught at a senior lecturer and above. But these are things that we are alive to. As a board, we are actually doing a review of all the engineering programs submitted to us, so that we can give advisory, even as we work out on the regulatory framework, so that we enhance the engineering education. And the reason we want to enhance it is the competitiveness. It goes back again. We are not an island. We are working with our neighbors. We come to Tanzania. They have a very strong regulatory framework for engineering education, where they work between the Engineers Registration Board and the equivalent of the University Education Regulator, so that programs are evaluated at 2 levels, both by the University Regulator, University Education Regulator, and the professional body. This is, I think, what is the standard practice worldwide, and we are looking at coming up with that collaborative framework, and I think we are making very good headway. So for us, I think it is engineering is. I think the other reason you'd want, apart from competitiveness out there, is about safety and security, because you need to be safe that this equipment that we are using today here, the building that we are in, is safe. So it has to be somebody who has that competence. Just like we get a driving license and you expect the people giving you a driving license, you're giving to somebody who has the competence to drive on the road and not cause an accident. So for us, it's a pertinent issue. And I believe we have been listened to in very many forums. We are quite excited that as we come up with that regulatory framework soon, we are going to then have quality engineering education. The other big program we are coming up as a regulator is we want to also then be accredited internationally. We want to join the Washington Accord, which is under the International Engineering Alliance. So that our engineering degree if it is like from the University X, if you go to Australia, you just start working. Otherwise, normally you'll find most of us, I'm told, unfortunately, we have our graduate engineers from very good universities here today. When they go to Dubai, and I hear there is a lot of work there, they can only work as technicians.
Exactly.
You see, so those are the real challenges we are having. But I will not deny that we also do have challenges, that we have diluted some engineering education standards in some universities. But they are the minority. I would like to... They are the minority, because the same engineers who are in our register are the same ones training.
But also remember, this principle of the rotten apple.
Can
you know when one apple is rotten, it's likely to destroy the entire
a good
apple
loss
in the basket.
Exactly.
And so I mean, he talked about some disagreements, but I would say there was some conflicts between the Engineers Board of Kenya and the Commission for University Education. On who is actually supposed to regulate, the training of engineers in this country. And, the court had its way and, the matter was resolved. But I know you're also going to be cautious on this, as you have proved to be. Yes. But from your tremendous many years of experience, as a qualified engineer, how then should the two bodies work together to ensure that we do not dilute this critical industry that we call engineering?
I would like to say that again, you look at the people who have gone ahead of us, the developed countries, they have both. And the two institutions talk to each other and collaborate. So I get a university degree from a university that has a charter by the Kenya government. It is offering courses that are approved by the you call it Council of University.
Regulator, engineering regulator.
But if I'm in a profession, the regulator for that profession also recognizes my degree. And maybe this, like the convention we are having on partnership, helps for different parties to agree and say, okay, then we will follow these steps so that the degree is agreed both by the Council of University Education as well as the regulators. And this again is not engineering because it affects medicine, it affects law, it affects quite a number of professions. So a person needs a degree which is accepted both ways.
I know. I know when that ruling, was delivered by the High Court. I mean, it was definitely a major setback, for the Engineers Board of Kenya.
Yes. But I supported the people because...
You supported who?
The students, because they went to a university that has a charter, and some
given
of them...
by the government.
Yes, some of them, the chancellor was the president. So if I go to a university which has a charter given by the government, and the president, who is the chancellor, came and conferred a degree on me, you should not ask me any other question.
Exactly.
What else could I have done?
But I think the issue is, I would like to...
Even as you responded to...
That one is a bit controversial because we have agreed on standards.
Yes.
And standards come from many things. We go to KEBS because this water we are taking here, we had, in fact, this one has no label. It is very worrying. But generally, you understand, the standards are approached from very many angles. There is, and the stakeholder, what I agree is that it is very bad to hurt the student is at the heart of this. And the student who is at the heart of it.
Yes.
And the citizen at the heart of it. Is that we want a competitive economy, isn't it?
Exactly.
So there are very many processes. It is not just about one aspect. It's multi.
Yes, but I have a solution.
In the sense that
you are asking whether that 0.what% should be given. So where there are these discrepancies, that is where the engineering academies come in to resolve. Because you are putting money in the engineering academies, which have a series of research and training programs, and these engineers can still get their correction, what they missed at the university, and also pick up new developments through the programs of the engineering academies.
What I know for sure is that, they are still,
just a little bit. I would like to say this. You see, I think I did finish my point.
Yes.
So there are very many players to make that product called your profession, journalism, or a doctor, or an engineer. So in engineering, we also have global standards, and we belong to the World Federation of Engineering Organizations.
Yes.
And so this is it in standard, and what is the general approach is that you have the professional engineering body also regulating the engineering education, so that we now have a linkage between the academic education and the industry requirements.
The market.
And the markets.
Very well.
And that is standard. We have it in South Africa, which is the markets we want to compete with. You come across to Tanzania,
it is there.
They have the same. You go to Malaysia, we have the same. So there's not something that is even rocket science. It is something that is well accepted globally. And I don't think we have a conflict, because it is still one government approach. You know, you can be called this, X or Y, but ultimately there is a process you are doing to add value. That is what we want to look at. Where do I add value, and how do I collaborate with the person who is also adding his own value? I think that is all to me.
Yeah.
And we must remember at the heart of it is that student who has spent time in a university. For me, it is very inefficient to finish in a program only to be told add A, B, C, D. We don't have as a country time to...
We must agree this. That this whole process, there are multiple players. And it is up to the multiple players to come to the table and agree that this is what we need to do. And I like it, you're putting it in good time, that this is how we're going to work together for the benefit of this country. People, we have to come to a close.
You mean so?
Because time is, you know, we've been here for almost 1 hour.
Thank you.
But two points I'd like to make quickly.
In 10 seconds.
Yes, yes. To be paid on time. I am a contractor, consultant, a supplier. I manufacture goods and I supply. If government can pay
people on time,
I know
that's a thorny
within the agreed time, it builds capacity of the Kenyan people to be competitive. The second one is what they call public investment management cycle. If I plan a project, I have allowed its budgeting properly, and what I can do in 1 year, I don't have to do in 5 years.
Very well.
And if those are absorbed, they also build the capacity of the Kenyan person to be competitive in his own home and abroad. And it will grow our economy.
I'm sure you'll give me 10 seconds as well to wrap up.
Well, my producer is telling me that...
Please allow me. And I'll say very quickly, I would like to tell this that the engineering education, we are seized by the matter, and there is a lot of, how would I call it? That indeed that it will be resolved. I think, let me give that optimism, it will be resolved. The second one is that we have the Engineering Partnerships Convention, which will be happening next week. From Wednesday to Friday, Wednesday 27th to Friday 29th. And we're inviting all stakeholders, because the matters we'll be discussing include how we are going to improve engineering education in this country.
So in short, you're saying, come
one, come all. Let's reason together.
Very much. Engineers, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's always beautiful to spend time in the midst of engineers.
We appreciate it.
Otherwise, the time is highly appreciated. You have been watching this. Check me out from Broadcasting House. Kurunzi Mashinani is coming up next. Otherwise, my name is O'Brien Kimani. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jaribu usahau tabu zako zote na ujienjoy kwa hii dini.
Usiniambie hatuwezi kuwa hata na uhusiano wa kikazi tu peke yake.
Kate Lea ni mke wangu.
Kwa nini hukuniambia Laban? Ulikuwa na muda wa kutosha kunieleza mama.
Wakati huo ulikuwa wakati mgumu sana.
Ama wewe raha yako unioni tu mimi sina raha, si ndio?
Anayekukosesha raha sio mimi, ni wewe ulio wako.
Mom! Ask her to come out.
Mom, who are you asking us to see? Why so mysterious?
Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum, yeah.
Pia tunazungumzia fadhila za mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani. Wanaombea msamaha watu wenye kutoa sadaka, wanaombea msamaha watu wenye kufuturisha, wanaombea msamaha kila mtu aliyekubali kufuata maamrisho ya Mwenyezi Mungu.
مسامعين واللي متابعين الفرد وصلنا يا رنين الحاشم.
Jimmy Havoc, you and old Mentor, we've been dancing a long damn time now. You beat me, I beat you.
Heart Foundation. Very, very impressive.
Your only two choices in this match are to get knocked out or to tap.
Rolls into the ring. No! Puma King, Irish whip stopped. Taken down. Knee right to the temple. And a headbutt than we expected. Oh my God! Nobody home on the moonsault.
This week on Magical Scenes, we take you to City Park in the county of Nairobi. For anyone who uses Limuru Road will never thought of such a magical destination, a hidden jewel in the green city in the sun.
I come to rest here mostly because the climate is conducive.
Magical Scenes, Thursday, only on Channel 1.
Nenda deposit ya mahali. Very good.
Leo nimehema. I think I'm getting old.
Kama ukuli vizuri, haupikiwi vizuri, utazeeka tu.
Unajua tizi wanzi huku kitchen.
How long are you staying?
Hai, Mama Felix. Hata sijaka dakika mbili, unataka kunifukuza already.
The last thing I need right now is some family package.
Nilikuambia tulijuana na huyu mama ya huyu kijana kabla tujajuana na wewe.
Nikirudi nataka uniambie kila kitu, uwekele juu ya meza kinaga ubaga.
Habari yako mama?
Mimi si mama yako.
Kazi yako mchina kina Joyce ukipiga tu mdomo huko.
Wewe unataka kuni-advise maneno ya ndoa?
How to make your wife to be submissive.
That's so low.
Jan kuja kwa nyumba saa ngapi? Alikuwa anatoka wapi?
Madam Kathy is walking to your office right now. Is that okay?
Can you tell that Instagram receptionist to viewers that I'm not one to be asked questions?
Hey, Rada. Hello to you too. Alafu wewe ndo tukuite nani?
Please, msiniite.
You invited your sister here without my knowledge.
Hakuna mambo, ni lazima.
What do you mean ni lazima?
Nikuulize, ati nasikia unahama?
And who told you that?
Sasa unajua kwenu mkiongea kitu ni kama Radio Taifa, habari zinasambaa kila mahali. So geniapia tu nikutengenezee kahawa.
I doubt you know how I like my tea.
Hizi vitu tumefanya kwa miaka na nini?
My tea is special.
I know you don't like Jonte.
You're right.
And I don't care.
Does he have a job? Does he have any goals? Any dreams? Is he even allowed to dream?
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutatayarisha sausages za uyoga.
Hizi sausage ninatengeneza vegetarians, watu wenye wana choose kutokula nyama. I also made them for people who eat, wenye hawakuli nyama juu inawaharibikia.
Kisha tuangalie mashine 2-3 ambazo hurahisisha kazi ya mkulima.
Share tractor ilianza kama project. Kwa tunatafuta mbinu ya kupunguza utumizi wa wanyama ama kutumia binadamu kama chombo cha kulima shamba na kufanya kazi ya machinery kwa shamba.
Ungana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa uhondo kamili.
Remember that where there was fire, ashes remain.
Yes, but she's in love with someone else.
With whom you forced her to get married.
You're a murderer. My father died and it was all your fault.
I didn't kill your father. You're crazy.
I am not crazy.
Move away.
He's your son. Don't you treat him like that.
I will protect
Thank you.
You know that I'll ruin you if I open my mouth.
Our dad ordered you to leave him, but you're rolling in the hay with him.
Just leave us alone. You know you never change.
I'm sure that their love won't last too long. It's because of her, right? You leave me because of her.
Please leave your brother alone.
Someday you'll accept her.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house and get out of my daughter's life.
Gonzalo, please stop.
Get out of here.
Everyone is against us, but they can't make us stop from loving each other.
Dare to leave me.
Kamene talks like a lady, walks like a lady, laughs like a lady, dresses like a lady.
And dear Lord, if this is the sign you are giving me, your servant Kamene Mwaluko, I am Lendi, I was born Lendi.
Usile, watu wanatuma 10,000, wewe unatuma 9,000. Shida yako ni nini? Hiyo 1,000 lazima nichukue sawa sawa. But anyway nimepata.
No way Julia is getting married before me. Ha, no way.
Mr. Tisha, you have sent 80,000.
I know a good deal when I hear of one. Now can we see the title deed?
Hey! I am going to own Shamba in Mombasa.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC. Na mtazamaji, leo hii ni Alhamisi ya tarehe 21 mwezi Aprili mwaka wa 2022. Matumaini yangu yakiwa ni kwamba popote pale ulipo umzima na ya kwamba wiki yako na siku yako kufikia sasa inakuendea vyema. Karibu hajapokea mshahara kwa miezi miwili sasa na wengi wao wanahangaika.
For the union makes us strong.
Huduma za matibabu huenda zikaathirika katika kaunti ya Meru baada ya wahudumu wa afya kuanza mgomo baridi wakidai malimbikizi ya mshahara. Maafisa wa chama cha wahudumu wa afya wanasema wanachama wao wanasononeka kutokana na kucheleweshwa kwa mshahara, huku baadhi ya wahudumu wakitatizika kimawazo.
Salaries have not been paid. For March and for April, there is no salaries. There's delayed payment of statutory deductions. And doctors, nurses and clinical officers have delayed promotions. There's a lot of increase in mental health illnesses in Meru County amongst healthcare workers.
We shall not offer elective surgeries. There shall be no provision of routine immunizations. There shall be no admissions of antenatal first stage of labor. There shall be no provision of family planning services. There shall be no services which include the elective operations.
Wafanyikazi wa kibarua wanasemekana kutopokea mshahara kwa kipindi cha miezi 6 sasa. Chama cha wahudumu wa afya kimewashauri wakazi wa eneo hilo kutafuta njia mbadala kupata huduma za afya, huku wahudumu wao wakijiandaa kufanya maandamano endapo swala hilo halitashughulikiwa.
Wiki ijayo watoto wanarudi shule. Hatujui tuambie watoto wetu nini kwa sababu hatuna karo ya kuwalipia. Hatuna karo ya kuwarudisha na hatuwezi hata kuambia mwalimu mkuu pale mwambie mwalimu mkuu mimi ni daktari sina pesa, kubali mtoto wetu.
Monday every aerobic care worker, every doctor, every surgeon, every nurse, every clinical officer, we shall be meeting His Excellency the Governor at his office. We be explained how we can remain with our children back at home. We be explained the stories to tell our landlords.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Wale walioshindwa kwenye michujo ya vyama vya kisiasa sasa wana muda wa siku 10 pekee kuidhinishwa kuwa wagombeaji huru. Aidha, mahakama kuu imekataa kutangua sheria mpya ya vyama vya kisiasa ikisema sheria hiyo ni halali. Jopo la majaji watatu lilitupilia mbali rufaa ya walalamishi 5 ya kuitaka mahakama kuharamisha sheria hiyo na kuruhusu wanaoshindwa kwenye mchujo kuhamia vyama vingine.
Juhudi za walalamishi hao 5
za kutaka mahakama kuu kutupilia mbali sheria ya marekebisho ya vyama vya kisiasa ya mwaka 2022 na kuruhusu watu kuhama vyama vya kisiasa viligonga mwamba.
And Article 259 of the Constitution.
Jopo la majaji watatu wa mahakama kuu lililojumuisha majaji Hedwig Ongudi, Esther Maina na Daniel Ogembo liliamua kuwa sheria hiyo ilikuwa halali na iliambatana na katiba kwa vile tume ya IEBC iliendesha shughuli ya kuwashirikisha wananchi kutoa maoni yao.
Enactment of the impugned amendment was consultative, meaningful and reasonable. The amendments cannot therefore be nullified on this ground. 6. There is no unconstitutionality in section 28(1) and 28A of the Elections Act.
Majaji hao walisema kuwa tume ya IEBC na jukumu la kudhibiti uteuzi wa wanachama wa vyama vyote vya kisiasa na wala jukumu hilo sio la msajili wa vyama vya kisiasa.
Section 34 FD is unconstitutional as regulation of political party nominations is the mandate of IEBC and not the Register of Political Parties.
Walisema kuwa vyama vyote vya kisiasa vinapaswa kufanyiwa ukaguzi kuambatana na pesa za umma ambazo vinapokea. Majaji hao walisema kuwa wanachama wa vyama vya kisiasa hawawezi kuwa katika vyama vingine vya kisiasa iwapo mtu atakosa kuteuliwa na anaweza kutaka kutafuta tiketi ya chama kingine na kuathiri ratiba ya tume ya IEBC. Wale wanaopoteza mchujo wanaweza kuwania kama wawaniaji huru. Hapa pia kuna masharti makali ambapo mwaniaji anastahili kupata sahihi za angalau wapiga kura 1000 waliosajiliwa iwapo anataka kuwania ubunge au sahihi za wapiga kura 2000 waliosajiliwa iwapo anawania useneta, na sahihi zao lazima ziidhinishwe na tume ya IEBC.
The petitions fail and are dismissed. Each party shall bear its own costs. Those are the orders of the court.
Na mtazamaji, tukiingia kwenye masuala ya kilimo ni kwamba wakulima katika baadhi ya sehemu katika kaunti ya Nakuru wameanza kubadili kilimo cha viazi na kugeukia ukuzaji mahindi na mimea ya tiba na viungo mbalimbali ili kujiimarisha kiuchumi. Wakulima hao wanasema upanzi wa mimea ya tiba na viungo hauhitaji kazi nyingi na mimea hiyo huzalisha kwa wingi mbali na kuwa na mapato ya juu.
Huu ni msimu ambao shamba la Colin Langat huwa limefurika mimea ya viazi, kabeji, maharagwe na karoti. Lakini kwa sasa Langat ameamua kupanda mimea ya tiba na viungo kwa sababu ukuzaji vyakula vya kitamaduni haina mapato kutokana na ukosefu wa soko na gharama ya juu ya uzalishaji.
It's better if you have in splits, maybe you have different variety chives, you have mint and lemongrass. That is what it will help us as a farmers.
County of Nakuru has been known for so many other crops. We've been known for maize, for beans. We've been known for potatoes, for dairy farming, and so many other value chains. We're also world famous for flowers. Now we bring in a new idea of enhancing our herb production through this project.
Kwa Langat, robo ekari ya shamba la kabeji humpa takriban shilingi 20,000 katika muda wa miezi mitatu. Na sasa anajipatia mapato maradufu kutokana na ukuzaji wa mimea ya tiba na viungo katika muda wa wiki 2 tu.
Tunalimaga kwa shamba yetu, tunalima chives, we are herbs farm. In these herbs we have chives, we have crops like mint, we have dill, rosemary and thyme.
Katika ekari moja ya ardhi anaweza kuvuna hadi tani 1.2 za tiba, huku kilo moja ya mmea huo ikiuzwa kwa kati ya shilingi 300 na 800 kulingana na aina ya mmea wa tiba au kiungo.
Green herbs here in Kenya exported all the way to the European market. Then the same product will be used to make the medicine, and as Kenyans will follow the medicine to the Europe. So I always tell the farmers it's also very advisable to take them as a whole crop.
Kutokana na janga la COVID-19, Mahitaji ya mimea ya tiba na viungo yameongezeka.
We believe that looking at the global market for what we call botanicals, that includes the herbs, we've seen a progressive growth in that. And of course, post-COVID, as we build back stronger, it is important for us to bring in all this diversity of crops to give us the minerals, to give us the vitamins.
Kulingana na mkataba wa Jumuiya ya Ulaya kuhusu kilimo, wakulima wanapokea mafunzo kuhusu upanzi wa mimea bora ya tiba na viungo, bali na kuwasaidia kupata soko ili kujiimarisha kifedha.
If the project can be able to work with the youth to get them involved in agribusiness activities, we will help them create opportunities, we will help create wealth, we will help them create jobs, and we will also help them to put meaning.
Tukisalia kwenye masuala ya kilimo ni kwamba serikali ya kaunti ya Kiambu imeanza kugawa mbegu kwa wakulima katika maeneo ya Ndeia na Gatuanyaga Ngoliba. Gavana wa kaunti hiyo James Nyoro amesema wamenunua zaidi ya tani 30 za mbegu za mahindi ambazo zitatolewa kwa wakulima wakati huu wa msimu wa mvua.
Akiongea wakati wa ugavi wa mbegu hizo katika eneo la Nachu, Gavana Nyoro alisema wanashirikiana na Wizara ya Kilimo kusaidia wakulima kuchimba visima vya maji ambayo wanaweza kutumia kwenye unyunyizaji mashamba mvua itakapopungua.
We have already provided about 30 tons. We have bought in the whole of the county about 110 tons of maize. And we are distributing through our VBAs. But that is why we are providing them with one packet of seed, which will cover about a quarter of an acre. So if which one of them can plant, and these are varieties that will mature within 90 days, you can be sure that by the end of June, beginning of July, they will be having a crop.
Aidha, Nyoro alisema kuwa serikali ya kaunti hiyo itanunua mbolea ya bei nafuu kupiga jeki juhudi za wakulima katika kaunti hiyo.
Such fertilizer will be available in the high potential area, in regions where they buy for napier grass or for coffee and tea. It will not be available in areas such as this. And that is why we are coming in with that program to ensure that we buy the fertilizer on their behalf and come and distribute.
Jelis Aladi, Kurunzi Mashinani.
Mwakilishi wa wadi ya Athwani aliyepia kiongozi wa wengi katika bunge la kaunti ya Meru, Victor Karithi, alikamatwa leo na kuzuiliwa kwa saa kadhaa katika kituo cha polisi cha Meru kutokana na madai ya uchochezi. Kukamatwa kwa Karithi kunafuatia visa vya uhasama kwenye mpaka kati ya kaunti za Meru na Isiolo ambapo watu kadhaa waliuawa. Akiongea baada ya kuachiliwa, Karithi alisema hatalegea katika kushinikiza usalama wa wananchi, akisema serikali kuu inapaswa kuchukua hatua mwafaka kukomesha uhasama huo.
Our people have been killed for so long, but very interestingly, I was summoned because of the deaths of the camels that died in my area. There are so many allegations. We will not relent. We will continuously advocate for what is right. We will not get cowed because as we talk now, people who I represent, a number of them are lying in a morgue. It is painful. And as a representative of the people, I will not get cowed by anybody.
Miavuli ya karatasi iliyopakwa mafuta ya kuzuia maji kupenya ni mojawapo ya vitu vya kale vinavyotumiwa sana na Wachina ambavyo vimeenea hadi nchi nyingine barani Asia zikiwemo Japan, Vietnam na Korea. Bali na kuzuia jua kali na mvua, miavuli hiyo pia imepewa maana ya kitamaduni. Katika harusi za jadi za Wachina, miavuli hiyo ilitumiwa kama vifaa vya kuzuia mikosi. Desturi hii ni maarufu sana mkoani Sichuan nchini China. Hayo na mengineyo ni kwenye makala yetu ya Ifahamu China.
Wachoraji wa miamvuli ya karatasi zilizopakwa mafuta ya tang katika mkoa wa Sichuan, China, wameshikilia kurithi na kuendeleza utamaduni wa thamani wa uchoraji wa Kichina kwa kuchanganya vitu vya kisasa ili kuleta uhai kwenye urithi huo wa utamaduni usioshikika. Usanii wa uchoraji wa miamvuli ya karatasi umekuwa ukirithishwa kwa maelfu ya miaka na pia unatumika kama ishara ya kuwakumbuka marehemu wakati wa msimu wa mvua. Ingawa miamvuli hiyo inatengenezwa kwa wasanii wa uchoraji sehemu mbalimbali za China, wasanii wa Luzhou mkoani Sichuan wanasisitiza kutumia ufundi wa kiasili zaidi, ambao unafanya mwamvuli kuorodheshwa kama urithi wa kitaifa wa utamaduni usioshikika. Familia ya Bi Liufu katika mji mdogo wa Luzhou imekuwa ikichora miamvuli ya karatasi tangu enzi ya Qing. Bi Liufu ni mrithi wa kizazi cha 6 cha usanii huu. Utengenezaji wa miamvuli ya karatasi iliyochorwa kwa rangi unahitaji hatua 100, ikiwemo kuchagua mwanzi, kutengeneza umbo na viunzi, kuchapisha na kuunganisha mwamvuli. Lakini mtoto wa kiume wa Bi Liufu aitwaye Bwana Yuanshen ameshuhudia historia ya miamvuli ya karatasi inayochorwa kwa rangi tangu kufifia kwake hadi kufufua tena. Baada ya miaka michache ya kufanya kazi katika mji Chengdu, alirudi katika maskani yake kujifunza ujuzi wa kutengeneza miamvuli. Wakati huo huo, pia alileta mifano ya biashara za kisasa katika maskani yake, kama vile matumizi ya biashara ya mtandaoni na maonyesho ya moja kwa moja mtandaoni ili kuongeza mauzo. Wakati sanaa ya kiutamaduni ya mikono ikirejea katika mtindo wa kisasa, vijana wengi wanavutiwa zaidi na miamvuli ya karatasi iliyochorwa kwa rangi na ufundi uliotumika kuitengeneza. Maadili ya jadi yanajumuishwa katika maisha ya watu kwa njia za uvumbuzi, kurithi vitu vya zamani na kuvipa maana mpya.
Na mtazamaji, hayo ni makala ya Ifahamu China ambayo hukujia kila siku hapa kwenye kipindi chetu cha Kurunzi Mashinani. Na basi mtazamaji, kabla ya kutamatisha ni kukufahamisha tu ya kwamba leo hii Naibu wa Rais Daktari William Ruto ameongoza kikosi cha Kenya Kwanza akiwemo pamoja na yule kiongozi wa ANC Musalia Mudavadi katika eneo la magharibi mwa nchi, na sasa hivi wako katika eneo la Vihiga ambapo wanazungumza na wananchi na wafanyabiashara kuhusiana na masuala mbalimbali ya kiuchumi. Na hivyo basi ni taarifa ambayo tutakuwa tunaifuatilia kwa karibu na tutakuwa tunapata maelezo zaidi baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu. Mtazamaji, hizo ni picha za moja kwa moja, hivyo basi tuelekee pale tusikize.
Most of our students are losing, are not getting entry into public universities kwa sababu wanaenda private universities, and as a result most government public universities do not get adequate funding kwa sababu funding is based on the number of students. I think that is something that Kwanza government should be able to look at because it is really affecting all universities. Secondly, I'm also a trade unionist. One of the things that we have discovered in universities is that when we make collective bargaining agreements with the government does not honor or does not adequately fund those particular CBS. And as a result, unaona kwamba tuko na migomo mingi in public universities. Students take long to graduate kwa sababu ya kwamba there is a lot of unrest in public universities. And that's why most parents, most people who are enrolled take their students to private universities. Kwa sababu in public universities, they take longer, students take long. I have a student in one of the public universities, he has taken 6 years for a 4-year course, and I think that is not proper. Another issue that I want to mention is that we are talking about agriculture because my foundation, I'm a crop protectionist by profession. One of the things, particularly in this particular region, and one of the speakers has mentioned, is that we have very small farms. So these small farms, if we have to do agriculture, then we have to embrace technology. We have to look at early maturing plants, those that are disease resistant. Na tusipofanya hivyo, because our farms are small, then you notice that tunatil every time, unatoa hii, unaweka hii, so the soils get exhausted. And therefore you need to replenish, you need to get particular plants that to withstand drought resistant wakati hakuna mvua ama those that are early maturing. So I want to request this government, the Kwanza government, they should be able to look at that so that we embrace technology. Hakuna haja ya kufuga ng'ombe ambayo inakupatia kikombe moja, imezana inakupatia kikombe moja ya maziwa, si ndio? So we should be able to get those particular animals that can give us more milk. So we need to embrace technology in agriculture. That is what will be able to help us. Secondly, wengi tunakuza mahindi. Na hii mahindi, we also lose a lot of maize during post-harvest. Yeah? Kwa sababu ya viwavi, kwa sababu ya weevils. And therefore then it is important that we need to enhance our storage capacity by making sure that we have maize. We improve on post-harvest technology. So nataka ku request this Kenya Kwanza government, as they come in, they need to look at that, because without embracing technology, then we may not be able to move far in terms of our agriculture, the way we farm and the way we till. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Mr. Osogo.
Yes.
You are a professional and an expert in, as you have said, in agriculture.
Yes.
I would like just for us to find out, are we doing the right crops in this area, bearing in mind that we have small farms and we have good rain? Do you have any suggestions on what high value crops we should be doing in this area, just for us to understand?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, we are not growing the right crops, because when you have a very small farm, maize farming is not profitable. Even beans is not profitable. So we need to invest much more in horticultural production, kilimo cha mboga. In fact, it is very serious that this particular county, despite the good weather, tunalishwa from the neighbor, tunalishwa mboga na neighboring countries, neighboring counties. So we need to be able to grow high value crops. Horticulture we can do tomato farming. We can do so many other things apart from maize farming. Unfortunately, watu hapa wanapenda mahindi sana. Ukiwaambia tokeni kwa mahindi hawataki. But the thing is, mahindi haiwezi kupatia faida when you are on a half or on a quarter acreage of land. Let's embrace horticulture too. Pande mboga za kienyeji, managu. We can generate much more income from those particular crops apart from the traditional ones that we normally grow.
Asante. One more question.
Yes.
Bwana Osogo.
Yes.
You've had one of the participants here say that we have a challenge of animal feed.
Yes.
I'm sure you are aware that most of the crops that we use to produce animal feed is oil crops.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on what type of oil crops we can grow in this region that would also help us to have the raw material for animal feed?
Yes, we can do simsim. You know, simsim is an oil crop that we can still embrace and grow. We can also grow palms. There are certain palms that we can be able to harness oil from those particular crops. There are many other more that we can be able to do apart from the ones I mentioned.
Thank you very much. That is very useful. I hope Mwalimu is listening, because we said, just hold on, Osogo. I want you to ask you one last question.
Yes.
We have simsim, we have oil crops,
yes,
that actually can do very well in this area.
Yes.
It will not only give you more money,
yes,
but it will also give us the raw material for animal feed, for our cows and for our cuckoos, and we can reduce the cost of feed that was being said by Mama somebody here.
Yes.
Let me ask you one final question.
Yes.
You have suggested that we go to grade cows that can give us 10, 15, 20 liters, right?
Yes, yes.
But as a professional, how do you...
Mtazamaji, hizo ni picha za moja kwa moja kutoka katika kaunti ya Vihiga ambapo naibu wa rais Daktari William Ruto ameongoza kikosi cha Kenya Kwanza katika shughuli mbalimbali. Hapo wanazungumza na wataalam wa kilimo kuhusiana na umuhimu wa kilimo na ni njia zipi ambazo Wakenya na hata wakulima humu nchini wanastahili kuzingatia, ni mimea ipi ambayo wanastahili kukumbatia ili angalau mimea ambayo inaweza kustahimili pengine kiangazi na kukua kwa haraka. Na hivyo basi ni taarifa ambayo mwanahabari wetu Wycliffe Okech anazidi kuifuatilia na atakuwa anatupa maelezo hapo baadaye kwenye taarifa zetu mwendo wa saa 7. Lakini kwa sasa hivi mtazamaji, mimi sina la ziada ila kufika kwenye tamati ya Kurunzi Mashinani, lakini usiondoke manake baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu nitakuwa nikirejea kwenye sehemu ya pili kipindi cha Tamrini, na leo hii tutakuwa tunaangazia masuala ya kisiasa hususan baada ya ile michujo ya chama ambayo tulishuhudia, na nitakuwa nazungumza naye Zakari Baraza ambaye ni mwanasiasa na vile vile ni mmoja wa wale ambao wanawania kiti cha ugavana katika kaunti ya Bungoma. Shukrani sana kwa wote waliotazama, akiwemo Georges Maro ambaye anasema anatazama kutoka Isibania na Livingstone Alushula anayetazama kutoka hapa jijini Nairobi. Mimi naitwa Nancy Okware, mfasiri kwa upande wa ishara ni Lensa Odingo. Kwa heri kwa sasa.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutatayarisha sausages za uyoga.
Hizi sausage ninatengeneza vegetarians, watu wenye wana choose kutokula nyama. I also made them for people who eat, wenye hawakuli nyama juu inawaharibikia.
Kisha tuangalie mashine 2-3 ambazo hurahisisha kazi ya mkulima.
Share tractor ilianza kama project. Watu watafuta mbinu ya kupunguza utumizi wa wanyama ama kutumia binadamu kama chombo cha kulima shamba na kufanya kazi ya machinery kwa shamba.
Ungana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa uhondo kamili.
Watoto nani? Wakati wa election aitwe election Makoa. Ndio mheshimiwa.
Bibi yako anafanya kazi gani?
Anakuanga uchi mheshimiwa.
Havai nguo.
Anafaa nguo, ni uchi. Anauza uchi.
Anauza uchi.
Yeye
unaona ni mtu anakaa Bishop. Wewe unaweza expect Bishop akuibe?
Hakuna pesa ulinipatia. Mimi nitawaloka.
Enda uroge. Enda uroge. Yes. Enda uroge.
Yasmin. Can we meet next week?
Wewe. Wewe mzee, hapa ni hoteli akawe apewe soda.
Sababu nini nyingine unaweza msaidia nayo?
Ndio nakuuliza hapa unaona soda ikiuzwa.
Kupitia uwekezaji unaofanywa na serikali ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta katika miradi kadhaa kwenye kaunti, wakazi wana mengi ya kusimulia. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254,
the state of our devolved units is strong and must be seen to deliver measurable improvements in the standard of living of our people.
Distance yenye una cover saa hii na 45 minutes, kitambo ulikuwa una cover na 1 to 2 hours So tumefurahia sana hivi venye hii barabara imeexpandiwa.
Sasa serikali hii ya Uhuru Kenyatta imetuinua
imetuinua kibiashara, kimaisha na mambo mengi.
Madam Kathy is walking to your office right now. Is that okay?
Can you tell that Instagram receptionist to viewers that I'm not one to be asked questions?
Hey, Rada.
Hello to you too.
Alafu ndo tukuite nani?
Please, msiniite.
You invited your sister here without my knowledge?
Hakuna mambo, ni lazima.
What do you mean ni lazima?
Nikuulize, ati nasikia unahama? And who told you that? Sasa unajua kukuni mkiongea kitu ni kama Radio Taifa, habari zinasambaa kila mahali. So ungeniambia tu nikutengenezee kahawa. I doubt you know how I like my tea. Hizi vitu tumefanya kwa miaka na nini? My tea is special.
I know you don't like John tea.
You're right.
And I don't care.
Does he have a job? Does he have any goals? Any dreams? Is he even allowed to dream?
Remember that where there was fire, ashes remain.
Yes, but she's in love with someone else.
With whom you forced her to get married.
You're a murderer. My father died and it was all your fault.
I didn't kill your father. You're crazy.
I am not crazy.
Move away.
He's your son. Don't you treat him like that. I will protect you.
You know that I'll ruin you if I open my mouth.
Our dad ordered you to leave him, but you're rolling in the hay with him.
Just leave us alone. You know you never change.
I'm sure that their love won't last too long. It's because of her, right? You leave me because of her.
Please leave your brother alone.
Someday you'll accept her.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house and get out of my daughter's life.
Gonzalo, please stop.
Get out of here.
Everyone is against us, but they can't make us stop from loving each other.
Dare to leave me.
Pia tunazungumzia fadhila za mwezi mtukufu wa Ramadhani. Wanaombea msamaha watu wenye kutoa sadaka, wanaombea msamaha watu wenye kufuturisha, wanaombea msamaha kila mtu aliyekubali kufuata maamrisho ya Mwenyezi Mungu.
يراني نقولها قدام السامعين واللي متابعين الفرد سنة يراني لنحاشم.
Na mtazamaji, shukran sana kwa kuendelea kutazama KBC Channel 1. Karibu sana kwenye awamu ya pili ambapo ni kipindi cha Tamrini, kipindi ambapo tunaangazia mahojiano. Ikiwa unajiunga nasi sasa hivi, mimi naitwa Nancy Okware, mfasiri kwa upande wa ishara ni Lensa Odingo. Na leo hii mtazamaji, tunazungumza kuhusiana na shughuli ya uteuzi katika vyama vya kisiasa ambayo vyama mbalimbali vimekuwa vikitekeleza shughuli yenyewe kabla ya lile agizo la IEBC ambapo vyama vyote vinastahili kukamilisha shughuli yenyewe kufikia tarehe 22 mwezi Aprili na kuwasilisha majina ya wale ambao waliibuka washindi kwa tume hiyo. Na lakini kumekuwa na mizozo katika vyama mbalimbali. Chama cha UDA kilifanya shughuli yake siku ya Alhamisi, na hivyo basi tutakuwa tunaangazia tu masuala ambayo yalichipuka katika lile swala la michujo katika vyama. Na hivyo basi kwenye studio leo hii nazungumza naye Zakaria Baraza ambaye ni mmoja wale wanaowania kiti cha ugavana katika kaunti ya Bungoma. Karibu sana Bwana Zakaria kwenye studio zetu, na pengine tunapoanza tuzungumze tu kuhusiana na shughuli yenyewe ya michujo katika vyama ambayo tumeshuhudia katika wiki ambazo zimepita. Tumejifunza nini? Wewe mwenyewe umejifunza nini baada ya muda huo wote ambapo vyama mbalimbali vimekuwa vikiendesha shughuli yenyewe?
Ile funzo kubwa ambayo nimejifunza ni kuwa katika vyama yale mambo ambayo yanaongea ama yale yanaagiza watu, tukija upande wa kutimiza hawatimizi pale. Ingawa ukiangalia katika tuna mahali pengine demokrasia imefanya kwa ule mwananchi wa kawaida ameruhusiwa kuchagua ni nani atakuwa mwakilishi wake, na tuna sehemu zingine watu wamechaguliwa wakiwa katika mahoteli So hiyo ndio kitu nimejifunza. Funzo kubwa ni kuwa unless wewe una uwezo fulani, kama wewe ni mtu wa kawaida, sio rahisi uweze kupewa ile fursa ya kuongoza watu. Utapewa fursa kama wewe ni, for example, kama wewe ni MP, una ushawishi mkubwa katika chama, utaweza kutumia nafasi yako ili ushawishi chama kisiweze kikuchague uwe mgombeaji bila kupitia mchujo. Na tuna sehemu zingine ambako wamekubalia mwananchi wa kawaida aweze kufanya kutoa na ile demokrasia, aweze kuchagua kwa kupitia mchujo. Hiyo ni kama Bomet na sehemu zingine. Lakini ukija kama sehemu kama za Western Kenya, utapata viongozi wengi wamechaguliwa katika mahoteli. Watu walikaa katika hoteli wakapanga orodha ya wale viongozi, wakasema hawa ndio watakuwa viongozi katika sehemu fulani. Hii ni kama sehemu za Western Kenya. So hii ni tuna mixed reactions. Tuna sehemu zingine imefanya vizuri na sehemu zingine demokrasia haijafanya vizuri. Sababu demokrasia ni kuwa unakubalia mtu mwenyewe achaguliwe na ule mwananchi wa kawaida. Lakini mkikaa watu wa aina watano mchague mtu mseme lazima huyu ndiye atakuwa kiongozi wenyewe, hiyo sio demokrasia. Na utapata imeua ndoto ya watu viongozi wazuri, wale ambao wangeweza kuongoza nchi lakini hawajapewa nafasi, sababu watu fulani wametumia nafasi zao kuweza kusimamisha watu fulani na wakanyima nafasi watu fulani, especially wale viongozi wale wachanga. Ile example naweza kupa, tunayo msichana ako Bomet anaitwa Toto. Kama hatungekuwa na demokrasi Bomet, hangepewa nafasi. Watu wangedharau, wangesema huyu hawezi lead. Na tuna mahali pengine kama tungekuwa na hiyo demokrasia, watu wangekubaliwa wafanye mchujo, watu wengi sana au vigogo wengi wangeenda nyumbani, tungekuwa na viongozi wapya wangeweza kubadilisha katika nchi. Yeah.
Ningependa tu tuanze kwa kumweleza mtazamaji yale ambayo ulipitia wakati wa uteuzi. Manake wewe ni mmoja wale ambao wameibua malalamishi kwa kusema ya kwamba kulikuwa na yale mazungumzo ya kuwapa wengine wapeperushe bendera badala ya kuandaa ile shughuli ya mchujo na kuwaruhusu Wakenya kuamua.
Ya, mimi nilikuwa katika chama UDA na mimi wakati waliweka yale matangazo katika magazeti wakasema kama unawania kiti ya ugavana unalipa shilingi 1500. Mimi nilipa shilingi 1500 na mimi ndio nilikuwa mgombezi pekee katika chama UDA, hatukuwa na mgombezi mwingine. Lakini baadaye mimi niliitwa wakanieleza kuwa tuna mgombezi mwingine kwa chama cha Ford Kenya. Mimi niwache ndoto yangu ya kuwa niwachie ule mgombezi wa Ford Kenya. Na mimi nikajiuliza, wewe ni baba, utawacha mtoto wako uchukue mtoto wa jirani ili aweze? So kufikia hapo mimi nikanyimwa ile nafasi ya kuweza kusimama kama governor kwa chama UDA. Na uliona viongozi wale MPs wa UDA na watu viongozi wengine walisimama wakasema sisi tutasimama na ule governor, ule ni Lusaka, ule wa Ford Kenya. Sasa hapo nikaona kuwa mimi sina nafasi katika hiyo, because sababu ya kuingia katika chama inatakana mtembee pamoja na chama. Lakini viongozi wa chama wakisema wanaunga mkono ule mtu ambaye sio wa chama hicho, na wewe ile hali umelipa ile fedha. Mimi nilipa shilingi 1500 na sio mimi peke yangu, tuna watu wengi, tuna vijana kama MCA wale hawajiwezi, utapata wamelipa shilingi 1050. Na kwa 1050 utapata mmoja ameenda amekopa, mwingine ameuza shamba, mwingine ameuza ng'ombe, mwingine ameenda amechukua gari ameweka kwa mtu kwa Shylock ili haweze kuingia. Anajua akiingia katika chama UDA ama chama chochote, sio lazima iwe UDA, ataweza kupigania kwa nafasi na hawezi kupata. Lakini ndoto ya watu yote imezimwa. Utapata kwa tukiwa na watu kama 10, hiyo ni kama ni shilingi 50 kwa kila moja, hiyo ni shilingi 1500. Ile ni chama imechukua na inasema nataka nyinyi wote msikizane. Na mimi naamini kuwa mtu yote ule ana akili timamu, kabla hajaamua kuwa anataka kuwa mwanasiasa ama anataka kugombea kitu fulani, atakuwa amekaa mwenyewe amejiuliza, mimi natosha masitoshi. Akishatoka pale ataongea na familia yake, hiyo ni mke wake, na utaka ajiulize hii kitu mkiangalia watakosa. Akishatoka pale ataingia kwa ile jamii yake, aulize jamii mnaona namna gani. Akishatoka pale ataingia sasa kwa ile sehemu ambayo anataka. So ile mtu yote ambaye yuko katika uchaguzi ashafanya consultation. Lakini utapata kuwa mtu kama huyo anaitwa katika afisi fulani, anaambia wewe ndoto yako nataka niwache, wewe uache mtu fulani. Na hiyo sio demokrasia. Demokrasia ni kuwa wacha wananchi, ile nyinyi sio wanaitanga Wanjiko, ule mtu wa chini apewe nafasi ya kufanya nomination. Kwa sababu kama chama kilijua kuwa kitafanya selection, hakingesema watu waende walipe fedha. Sababu utapata watu karibu 1500, 1050, wale wabunge 1000 utapata 1100, 1150, ama wengine 1250 washalipa. Kitu kingine, kabla hujalipa hiyo pesa ama baada ya kulipa hiyo pesa, ushaanza campaign. Umeweka milioni yako 2, umeweka milioni yako 5, Umeweka milioni, tuna mmoja wako ameweka milioni 19 anataka kuwa mbunge na anaambiwa kuwa wewe hatutakusupport, wewe support mwingine.
Unahisi ya kwamba baadhi ya vyama vinatumia ile nafasi ya kwamba wawaniaji wanalipa fedha za kutumika wakati wa uteuzi kujipa kipato zaidi?
Ya mimi naangalia hiyo ni kitu, vyama vinatumia nafasi kupata pesa kutoka kwa wale wagombeaji. Baada ya kupata hiyo pesa then wanasema wasikizane. Kingine, kama hizi vyama vingekuwa ni zile zinafanya mambo ya haki, zingerudishia wale watu zile fedha zao. Lakini utapata kuwa watu wachache sana. Mfure ni chama, niona tu mtu mmoja, barua moja ODM ndiye rudisha wakati moja. Lakini watu wote hawajarudishwa zile fedha. Chama imechukua hiyo fedha. So itachukua hiyo fedha yako iende pe mgombeaji ule ambaye aona nini anakupinga kuweza kunini. So mimi naangalia lazima sheria ifanyike kuwa chama kama kimechukua fedha ya mtu na ina hakika haitamsimamisha, ni vizuri hiyo fedha irudishwe. Kitu ya pili, inatakana ifanyika wakati mtu haja invest time yake kwanza kufanya campaign. Sababu sio ile shilingi 50,000 peke yake. Kama ule for example naweza kupewa ule MC Jesse ule anatoka Meru. Yeye alikuwa ni msanii, alikuwa na Churchill, akaachana na hiyo akarudi akaanza kufanya investment, akaanza kufanya campaign. Na yeye asha invest fedha yake huko. Asha invest wakati wake wote amekuwa kule akifanya campaign. Alafu unamwita unamwambia wewe nataka nikwambie wewe uanze kuback mtu mwingine. Na ukishafanya hivyo, kitu ya kwanza wale wapiga kura hawatakuwa na imani na yeye wakati mwingine. Akijaribu kusema anasema wewe kufika mahali fulani watu waache mwingine. Kitu cha pili, ule mwananchi wa ile area anakuwa ana matumaini, anasema kuwa tutakuwa na mabadiliko, ana matumaini ya kwenda kupigia mtu fulani, lakini ya matumaini yamekatwa. Kitu kingine, zile fedha ambaye ule mgombeaji ameweka katika hiyo campaign, sababu utapata inaweza kuwa ameweka milioni 20, milioni 10, hizo fedha zitarushwa namna gani? Hiyo umeua. Kitu kingine ni ndoto ya ule mtu, sababu pengine akizaliwa amekuwa na ndoto kuwa wakati mmoja atataka akuwe mbunge, amekuwa na ndoto kwa wakati mmoja anataka akuwe governor, akuwe hata rais, lakini umekata hiyo ndoto yote. So hao wanasiasa ambao wanakata ndoto za wale vijana wadogo wadogo, kama wangekata ndoto zao hawangekuwa pale mahali wako. So mimi ile naona kuwa hili ni jambo nataka tujadiliane baada ya uchaguzi. Tuone tutafanya namna gani ili kulinda demokrasia. Tutafanya namna gani kulinda wale watu wale wanasiasa ambao wameanza kuamuka chini, wale wanaambia waachie wengine nafasi. Ili demokrasia iwe kuwa chama ifanye progress democracy kwa kukubalia ule mtu maskini ambaye pia amesimama apewe nafasi ya kuenda katika debe kwa mambo ya nomination. Akishindwa anakubali.
Yeah. Ningependa tuzungumze kuhusiana na hali ambayo ni tofauti sasa hivi ya uchaguzi humu nchini. Mwaka huu tunashuhudia kwamba vyama vingi, unapata ya kwamba takriban vyama 20 vimekuja pamoja na kujiunga. Hapo awali tulikuwa tunashuhudia vyama vingi vile vikijiunga pamoja. Unaona ya kwamba vyama kuwa vingi ndivyo vimechangia kuwa na tashwishi sana wakati huu wa kura ya mchujo, na vile vile kuvichochea vyama vingine kushindwa kutoa ule uamuzi kamili kuhusiana na atakayepeperusha bendera.
Ile shida kubwa ni kuwa tuna ile wanaitanga psychological, ile washatengeza kuwa tuna farasi ni wawili peke yake. Na farasi wakiwa wawili, watu wanaona lazima either apande ule farasi ama apande ule farasi mwingine. Sasa utapata kuwa watu wanaamini kuwa kiti cha urais mwaka huu ni kati ya makamu wa Deputy President William Ruto na Honorable Raila Odinga. Sasa wale watu wanataka kwa ile matunda wanataka waungane na ile moja ya zile mbili. Tungekuwa na farasi 3, then watu wangekuwa na alternative ya kuenda katika farasi. Lakini mimi nataka kueleza kitu moja. Tuna serikali ya aina mbili. Tuna serikali ile national government na tuna serikali ya ugatuzi, county government. Na hizi serikali zina functions zake zingine. Sasa watu wamejisahau kuwa hata tukiwa na rais katika ile serikali ya juu, hii serikali ya chini ndio serikali ina maana sana kuliko zile serikali, kuliko hata serikali ya juu. Sababu ukipata upande, most of the functions zimekuwa devolved, mambo ya health na kadhalika. Sasa saa hizi unapata watu wanaona akipanda hii farasi moja akiwa chini ya Azimio ama akiwa chini ya Kenya Kwanza, yeye wananchi atakuwa na ushawishi wa kuweza kushawishi wananchi wampe kiti fulani. Hiyo ndio umeona watu wengi wameamua kujoin zile vyama ndogo ndogo. Zinaona zikiogelea peke yake zitazama. So ndio naona sababu umeona tuko na vyama vidogo vidogo vimeingia katika muungano ile wa Azimio ama muungano wa Kenya Kwanza. Na haya ni mambo yametengenezwa psychologically na vyombo vya habari na wale wakereketi wa kisiasa, ili mtu akiwa hata mzuri akisimama peke yake wanaona huyu mtu hakuna mahali anaenda. Sababu
unahisi Wakenya wako tayari kwa kiongozi mpya, kiongozi ambaye hajakuwepo pale? Manake wengi wanasema ya kwamba Mkenya ndiye anayefanya ule uamuzi na kuleta mabadiliko ambayo anahitaji, na mara kwa mara unapata kiongozi aliyekuwepo ndiye anachaguliwa mara kwa mara, na wewe mwenyewe ulikuwa unasimama kama yule ambaye ni damu mpya tuseme vile. Unahisi ya kwamba Wakenya wako tayari?
You see, siasa sio Wakenya wako tayari kwa damu mpya, lakini ule ushawishi ambao uko katika vyombo vya habari, ile wanatanga ile ushawishi ambao unaendelea, hauwezi ruhusu Mkenya aweze kupiga kura kwa ile bila ushawishi. Sababu sasa hizi utapata kuwa tayari ile line imeshachorwa tayari kuwa rais atakuwa either Daktari William Ruto ama Raila Odinga. So utapata Mkenya yote anataka kufuata mahali upepo unaenda, either afuate upepo wa Raila Odinga ama afuate upepo. So hata mtu akiwa mzuri saizi akiamka hawezi pewa hiyo nafasi, sababu tayari upepo ushaanza kusukuma ukielekea mahali fulani, na sisi wote tunaanza kufuata ule upepo. Lakini sisi tunaomba kuwa itafika wakati ambako watu watakuwa wanaangalia sera, hawaangalii ushawishi wa watu fulani. Kitu kia pili ni kuwa pia ni fedha ndiyo tunaweza viongozi wazuri sana, lakini hawana zile fedha, hawana ile nafasi ya kupewa ile wataweza kusimama kuweza kufanya. So mimi nasema hivi, ile lesson tunatakana tusome ni kuwa ile imefanyika Bomet ya huyu msichana anaitwa Toto. Tunaomba pia upande wa urais ama upande wa zile nafasi zingine kubwa kubwa pia wananchi wa kawaida waweze kufanya maamuzi kama huo. Lakini kwa saa hizi mtu wa kawaida kupewa nafasi kama ya urais, hiyo ni ndoto katika nchi yetu ya Kenya.
Kuna hili pendekezo ambalo vyama vimekuwa vikitoa wakati wa kupiga kampeni ya kwamba wanawasihi wafuasi, ikiwa unapiga kura pale, inajulikana kwa lugha ya kimombo kama 6 piece, ule mfumo ambao unampigia kura mwaniaji wa wadi mmoja hadi katika kiti cha urais, ikiwa ni rais chama hicho. Unahisi vipi kuhusiana na hilo? Manake wengi wanasema unapopata mwakilishi wadi mbaya na upate rais mzuri, basi huduma zitaathirika hata zaidi.
Huo ushawishi wa kusema wapige 6 piece ni ushawishi mbaya sana. Ni ushawishi wa kupotoza Wakenya. Sababu kuwa unatakana uangalie sera za mtu, sio uangalie ile suti ambayo amevaa. Ukiangalia sera za mtu utajua tunaweza kuwa na rais mzuri, lakini utapata chini senator sio mzuri. Ule mwingine ambaye utapata kwa governor sio mzuri, sera zake haziambatani na yale matakwa ya wananchi. Utapata MP pia sera zake sio mzuri, na utapata pia kuwa ule mtu wa chini, ule MCA pia sera zake sio mzuri, ama women rep. So hii kitu ya kusema 6 piece suit, hii ndio imeweka Kenya katika hali ambayo tuko saa hizi. Tunatakana tuangalie kama ni kupiga kura, na viongozi wanatakana waweze waseme kuwa sisi tunataka 6 suit, lakini tumeweka viongozi kwa hii 6 suit wale wako na sera nzuri. Lakini ukiweka viongozi wale hawako kwa sera, hawana sera nzuri, wale nyinyi wenyewe mmekaa katika mahoteli mmechagua, alafu mnasema mnataka mpige 6 suit, hiyo ndio inapotosha Wakenya. So mimi kitu ningeweza kuambia Wakenya ni kuwa tukitaka kupata viongozi wazuri, tusiangalie zile party wamesimama, tuangalie zile sera zao, na pia tuangalie historia yao. Wewe umekuwa katika historia, wewe umekuwa mtu fulani, ni maendeleo gani ushawaifanyia mwananchi wa kawaida? Wewe umekuwa katika sehemu fulani, ushahusika katika ufisadi? Wewe umekuwa katika zero fulani, ni ushawahi fanyia wananchi kitu gani? Ama ni kama hata umekuwa mbunge, umepitisha miswada ngapi ya kusaidia wale wananchi wa kawaida? Wakati fulani, wakati gani umesimama ukipigania kuwa hautaki tuwe na ufisadi katika nchi ya Kenya? So hizo ni vitu ambazo nataka tuangalie, tusiangalie ile kusema ni 6 piece ama mambo mengine. Yeah.
Wakati huo uteuzi na michujo katika vyama kumekuwa na malalamishi mengi. Wengi wanapewa tiketi, kwingine kunaandaliwa ile kura ya mchujo, lakini kuna lile swala la utatuzi wa mizozo katika vyama. Unahisi ya kwamba wawaniaji wana imani na ile wale ambao wametwikwa lile jukumu la kutatua mizozo baada ya uteuzi?
Utapata kuwa wale wengi wa kutatua zile mizozo, wengi wao wanapata ushawishi kutoka kwa wale viongozi wa vyama ambao waliwachagua. Kitu kingine utapata kuwa tuna vyama fulani zimesema sisi kutatua mzozo wao lazima ulipe shilingi 1,100, 1,050. Wewe umeadhirika, wewe unatembea wanasema you are bleeding, na unaambiwa uongeze fedha zingine katika ile. Hiyo inamaanisha umezuia tayari watu wasiweze kuweza, because ukitaka kusaidia malalamishi, sababu hawa watu wanaweka malalamishi sio sababu sio kupenda kwao, ni sababu ya chama ijafanya pengine haki kwa njia moja ama nyingine. Hiyo ndio unaona. Na tena hiyo baada ya kudhulumu watu kwa njia moja ama nyingine, unaambia watu mkitaka nitatue matatizo yenu, hakikisha mmelipa shilingi 1,100, mmelipa 1,200. Hiyo already ni dhuluma. Hiyo itazuia watu wengi kuweka malalamisho yao, kwa sababu mtu ataona sijafanyiwa haki, hata nikilipa shilingi 1,100 bado sitafanyiwa haki tena. Na pia utapata kuwa zile nini zimesimamia zile mizozo ni zile nini zimechukuliwa na chama chenyewe. So utapata chama ina ushawishi mkubwa sana katika nani atafanya hivi, nani atafanya hivi. So utapata kuwa watu wengi wanaona hatutakuwa na haki katika. That's why wengine wakishadhulumiwa wanaamua kuacha tu. Yeah. But ile kitu naweza kuambia kuwa katika nje ya Kenya huu mwaka watu wengi watapita kwa ile tiketi ya independence. Sababu watu wengi wamedhulumiwa na wameamua kuwa lazima waende katika debe. Na mimi naamini wananchi wa Kenya wataweza kuchagua wananchi kulingana na zile sera zao, kulingana na uwezo wao, kulingana na maendeleo yao. Na ndio nakueleza kuwa watu wengi watapita katika tiketi ya independence mwaka huu.
Utakuwa mmoja wale ambao watakuwa debeni? Mimi
nafikiri naelekea pale, lakini sijaamua. Mungu akijalia naweza fikia pale. Yeah, lakini nitakuwa katika debe, katika kinyang'anyiro cha huu mwaka kwa gavana ya Bungoma.
Naam. Yeah. Shukrani sana kwa muda wako, tutatamatishia hapo. Na kwa kweli mtazamaji, inaashiria kwamba kumekuwa tu na malalamishi mengi kutoka kwa wale ambao walikuwa wameshiriki katika, walikuwa na yale matumaini ya kupeperusha bendera katika vyama mbalimbali vya kisiasa humu nchini. Tumekuwa tukizungumza naye Zakaria Baraza ambaye ni mwanasiasa anayewania kiti cha ugavana katika kaunti ya Bungoma. Na basi kufikia hapo sina la ziada ila kushukuru sana kwa muda wako. Taarifa zaidi utakuwa unazipata mwendo wa saa 7 kwa lugha ya Kimombo. Mie naitwa Nancy Okware, mfasiri kwa upande wa ishara ni Lensa Odingo. Kwa heri.
Asante.
Thank you.
Wiki hii kwenye mkulima tutatayarisha sausages za uyoga.
Hizi sausage ninatengeneza vegetarians, watu wenye wana choose kutokula nyama. I also made them for people who eat, wenye hawakuli nyama juu inawaharibikia.
Kisha tuangalie mashine 2-3 ambazo urahisisha kazi ya mkulima.
Share tractor ilianza kama project. Watu watafuta mbinu ya kupunguza utumizi wa wanyama ama kutumia binadamu kama chombo cha kulima shamba na kufanya kazi ya machinery kwa shamba.
Ungana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa uhondo kamili.
Nenda deposit ya mahali. Very good.
Leo nimehema. I think I'm getting old.
Kama ukuli vizuri, haupikiwi vizuri, utazeeka tu.
Unajua tizi wanzi huku kitchen.
How long are you staying? Hai, Mama Felix. Hata sijakaa dakika 2, unataka kunifukuza already.
The last thing I need right now is some family package.
Nilikuambia tulijuana na huyu mama ya huyu kijana kabla tujajuana na wewe.
Nikirudi, nataka uniambie kila kitu, uwekele juu ya meza, kinaga ubaga.
Habari yako mama?
Mimi si mama yako.
Kazi yako mchana kina Joyce ukipiga tu mdomo huko.
Wewe unataka kuni advice maneno ya ndoa?
How to make your wife to be submissive.
That's so low.
Jan kuja kwa nyumba saa ngapi? Alikuwa anatoka wapi?
This week on Magical Scenes, we take you to City Park in the county of Nairobi.
For anyone who uses Limuru Road will never thought of such a magical destination.
A hidden jewel in the green city in the sun.
I come to rest here mostly because the climate is conducive.
Magical Scenes, Thursday, only on Channel 1.
Wakati wa election aitwe election makoa. Ndio mheshimiwa.
Bibi yako anafanya kazi gani?
Anakuanga uchi mheshimiwa.
Havai nguo.
Anafaa nguo ni uchi. Anauza uchi.
Anauza uchi.
Yeye unaona ni mtu anakaa Bishop. Wewe unaweza expect Bishop akuive?
Hakuna pesa ulinipatia. Mimi nitaondoka.
Enda uroge. Enda uroge. Yes. Enda uroge.
Yasmin, can we meet next week?
Wewe mzee, hapa ni hoteli akawe apewe soda.
Sababu nini nyingine unaweza msaidia nayo?
Ndio nakuuliza hapa, unaona soda ikiuzwa.
Kupitia uwekezaji unaofanywa na serikali ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta katika miradi kadhaa kwenye kaunti, wakazi wana mengi ya kusimulia. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254,
the state of our devolved units is strong and must be seen to deliver measurable improvements in the standard of living of our people.
Distance yenye una cover saa hii na 45 minutes, kitambo ulikuwa una cover na 1 to 2 hours So tumefurahia sana hivi venye hii barabara imeexpandiwa.
Sasa serikali hii ya Uhuru Kenyatta imetuinua kibiashara, kimaisha na mambo mengi.
Madam Kathy is walking to your office right now. Is that okay?
Can you tell that Instagram receptionist to viewers that I'm not one to be asked questions?
Rada, hello to you too.
Alafu ndo tukuite nani? Please, msiniite.
You invited your sister here without my knowledge?
Puna mambo, ni lazima.
What do you mean ni lazima?
Nikuulize, ati nasikia unahama?
And who told you that?
Sasa unajua kukwenu mkiongea kitu ni kama Radio Taifa, habari zinasambaa kila mahali. So geniapia tu nikutengenezee kahawa. I doubt you know how I like my tea. Hizi vitu tumefanya kwa miaka na nini. My tea is special.
I know you don't like John tea.
You're right.
And I don't care.
Does he have a job? Does he have any goals? Any dreams? Is he even allowed to dream?
Remember that where there was fire, ashes remain.
Yes, but she's in love with someone else.
With whom you forced her to get married.
You're a murderer. My father died and it was all your fault.
I didn't kill your father. You're crazy.
I am not crazy.
Move away.
He's your son. Don't you treat him like that. I will protect you.
You know that I'll ruin you if I open my mouth.
Our dad ordered you to leave him, but you're rolling in the hay with him.
Just leave us alone. You know you never change.
I'm sure that their love won't last too long. It's because of her, right? You leave me because of her.
Please leave your brother alone.
Someday you'll accept her.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house and get out of my daughter's life.
Gonzalo, please stop.
Get out of here.
Everyone is against us, but they can't make us stop from loving each other.
Dare to leave me.
Jaribu usahau tabu zako zote na ujienjoy kwa hii dini.
Usiniambie hatuwezi kuwa hata na uhusiano wa kikazi tu peke yake.
Kate Lea ni mke wangu.
Kwa nini hukuniambia labda ulikuwa na muda wa kutosha kunieleza mama?
Wakati huo ulikuwa wakati mgumu sana.
Ama wewe raha yako ni tu mimi sina raha, si ndio?
Anayekukosesha raha sio mimi, ndio wewe ulio wako.
Remember that where there was fire, ashes remain.
Yes, but she's in love with someone else.
With whom you forced her to get married.
You're a murderer. My father died and it was all your fault.
I didn't kill your father. You're crazy.
I am not crazy.
Move away.
He's your son. Don't you treat him like that. I will protect you.
You know that I'll ruin you if I open my mouth.
Our dad ordered you to leave him, but you're rolling in the hay with him.
Just leave us alone. You know you never change.
I'm sure that their love won't last too long. It's because of her, right? You leave me because of her.
Please leave your brother alone.
Someday you'll accept her.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house and get out of my daughter's life.
Gonzalo, please stop.
Get out of here.
Everyone is against us, but they can't make us stop from loving each other.
Dare to leave me.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Thank you for creating time for us. This is KBC, or just in time for the lunchtime news. It is the 21st day in the month of April. Presidential aspirants having less than a week to name their running mates. This in meeting the IEBC deadline. This as His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta is only having 4 months in office. We have details on that and many more making headlines not only locally but also across the borders. Do interact with us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. My name is Irene Mchuma Udim. On sign language interpretation, we have Lucy Mwaura. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance Coalition Party will set up an advisory panel to come up with a possible running mate for coalition party presidential hopeful Raila Odinga on the August elections. Speaking to the press after a closed-door meeting with the Coalition Council Chair, President Uhuru Kenyatta, at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC, Suna East Member of Parliament, Junet Mohammed, said the council further directed the National Executive Council to come up with a campaign strategy that will ensure the coalition party scoops a majority in Parliament and the county assemblies.
The Council also resolved to appoint an advisory panel to recommend to the presidential candidate suitable candidates for nomination as the deputy presidential candidate. Directed the National Coalition Executive Committee to immediately prepare a campaign strategy and plan that will ensure: 1. The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate wins the 2022 presidential election, to ensuring that the forthcoming general election is characterized by sober contemplation and debate on key national challenges, among them uplifting the well-being of all Kenyans, eradicating corruption, respect for dissent and views of others, peaceful campaigns, a stable post-election economic environment, and a united, inclusive, fair, and prosperous nation. Asanteni sana.
Still on a political note, we cross over to Western Kenya in Vihiga, where Kenya Kwanza is pitching camp, and our colleagues on the ground are advising we cross over and listen in.
Thank you very much. That's very useful. Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Your Excellency, ANC Party Leader, Madividi, and all the guests present. Hamjambo tena. Mimi naitwa Lawrence Musalia na nimeulizwa kuongea kuhusu jambo ya kilimo. Nataka niseme kwa mwanzo kabisa, naungana na wale waliongea kuhusu maneno ya kilimo. Shida ni mingi. Now, I specifically want to refer to the tea farming in this county. Watu wengi kwa hii county ambao wamepanda majani chai ni kiasi ya shamba ndogo, na wakati mwingi pesa ambazo wanaweka kama investment hazilipiwi back. Our factory, I'm sure wale wako na majani chai, wakulima wako na shida wakati tunaambiwa wanalipwa bonus shilingi ambazo ni chini ya kiwango ambacho wameinvest kwa hiyo chai. Wengi hata wameamua kuchimbua hiyo majani chai, wanapanda miti. Tafadhali Bwana Deputy President, when you become the president, hii issue ya majani chai in this county, is there, so we should find a solution to give incentives to the farmers to expand, though the farms are very low. My background is a teacher, sir. Ukienda kwa hizi villages mingi, kuna walimu wamefuzu na wanakaa kwa village kama kwamba hawajakuwa walimu. Is there a way that your government would set aside something like we used to have economic stimulus, so that hawa vijana ambao wamefuzu kama walimu wanaweza kuwekwa kwa mashule ambazo we know they don't have enough teachers, and they're given a stipend so that they're able to invest in the local village and the markets. Number two, we are seeing Kenya Airways being given a lot of money just to bail it out. Hiyo pesa kama ingekuja kwa hizi industries, kwa ajili hawa walimu, we shall be in a position to bring money hapa chini. Nafikiri hiyo ndio ningeongeza. Na mwisho, hii university yetu ya Kaimosi, sijui charter ilikwama wapi. Inawezekana.
Well, that is Kenya Kwanza in Vihiga. We'll be linking up with our team on the ground for more details in our subsequent bulletins. Now, a census station for KBC Y254 is in the county of Kisii, and they've been traversing the country as well as parts of Kisii County. Now we're linking live with my colleague Beatrice Gatonye-Ngetich, who has been with the team from day one. Beatrice, bring us the picture in the county of Kisii.
Thank you very much, Irene Michuma from Broadcasting House. I'm coming to you live from Kisii County, particularly at Kisii University, where the institution has an event, a two-day event, where the students are showcasing their cultures through music, through dance, and all this music and the dance have been tailored towards messages of peace. And telling us more about this event is the student leader, culture and sports. Joining me, Sam. Karibu sana KBC Channel 1. Tell us more about the event that is happening today and what are you looking at achieving?
Yeah, I'm Samuel Irungu, the Sports, Culture and Entertainment Secretary. Our main theme for this event is peace. We're in a time of elections. We want to bring up all these students together to tell them, even if you come from each and every county, we are one. At the end of the elections, we are one. And that us as students of university, politicians have been using us for politics. But for now, we are saying that we want peace in our country.
That is amazing. And what exactly are you doing? Is it just music, dance, and that's it? Or there are any other activities that are geared towards achieving your goal?
We have various activities. For instance, we are having the cultural presentations. Each and every group from each and every region of Kenya, they are showcasing their culture. And for example, last night we are having the preliminaries for beauty pageant. And tonight we are having the competitions for Mr. Jumbo and Mr. Flex, the big guys, and the big ladies, the big boys, and the big ladies. And tomorrow we'll be having the grand final for Mr. Kisi and Miss Kisi. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And this is a 2-day event. Tomorrow, what happens?
For tomorrow, we are having the D-Day. Yeah, we are going to have the final for pageant night. Where we'll be coming up with Mr. and Miss Kisi. Yeah, and at the end, we are going to have a guest artist. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And joining me again is Y254 Fidelis Temngetich. You're one of the sponsors of the event. What are you looking at achieving as Y254?
Okay, the purpose first of us being here is that Y254, it's a youth station, and you find that most of our target audience are university students. So the reason we are here is to meet and interact with the students who are audience, so that we also create visibility of the station, which is very, very important, which in turn we can now partner with these campuses for revenue generation. Yes.
Do you have any other activities you're doing, like road shows around Kisii County, or is it just within the university?
Yes, after Kisii University, we are proceeding for Kisii County Road Show, and also we will do Nyamira Road Show. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So that is Fidelis. She's one of the head of Y254, and as you've heard from the institution secretary, culture and sports head secretary, the event is geared towards empowering the young people here with the messages of peace as we look forward to an electioneering period. And what is going on right now behind me is cultural dance and music from Nandi, I guess. And we've also had Maasais, we've had Kikuyus, and all the cultures are being represented here today. So that's why we're here at Kisii County. We'll be telling you more tomorrow on what will be happening. My name is Beatrice Gatonya. I take you back to Broadcasting House. Irene Muchuma, back to you.
Gatonya, good to have you. You must be enjoying the events down in the county of Kisii. And also, we're looking forward to have you back, Gatonya. Good afternoon. Now, to other news, youth have been urged to engage in positive activities such as football to keep them off from vices such as drug abuse. According to Mwai from Zitech University, such activities have been proved to keep the youth away from negative influences. He spoke during a mentorship program for the youth organized by Zitech University in collaboration with the county government of Kiambu. The program is aimed at empowering youths to become better individuals in the society. Charles Muli, a youth who won the half marathon, said that youth who are addicted to drugs should open up so that they will be helped.
To drugs, your life is gonna be like stagnant. Our main goal is to like open up and focus ahead, seek therapy, and all shall be well.
We have a big challenge, especially in this world of alcohol abuse, when the youth are engaged and they are with the right people and the partners come together. They are able to evade all those vices and they become better people in the future.
Youth actually need a lot of support because youths are the ones who are engaging in issues that are not very moral, but I've seen an effect. Through mentorship, there are changes to our youth in the society.
Meru County health workers have started a go-slow over salary delays. The health workers claim they have not received their dues for the last 2 months.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Provision of health services in Meru County now hangs in the balance following a go-slow strike by the health workers. Health Workers Union officials say that the frontline workers were undergoing a hard time following a delay in their salaries.
Salaries have not been paid for March, and for April there is no salaries. There's delayed payment of statutory deductions, and doctors, nurses and clinical officers have delayed promotions. There's a lot of increase in mental health illnesses in Meru County amongst healthcare workers.
We shall not offer elective surgeries. There shall be no provision of routine immunizations. There shall be no admissions of antenatal first stage of labor. There shall be no provision of family planning services. There shall be no services which include the elective operations.
Casual workers' salaries are said to have been delayed for almost 6 months now. The union leaders are now advising the public to seek alternative ways to get health care, even as they plan to hold demonstrations at the Meru County headquarters starting Monday next week if action is not taken.
Wiki ijayo watoto wanarudi shule. Hatujui tuambie watoto wetu nini kwa sababu hatuna karo ya kuwalipia. Hatuna karo ya kuwarudisha. Na hatuwezi hata kuambia mwalimu mkuu pale, mwambie mwalimu mkuu mimi ni daktari sina pesa, kubali mtoto wetu.
Monday, every aerobic care worker, every doctor, every surgeon, every nurse, every clinical officer, we shall be meeting His Excellency the Governor at his office. We'll be explained how we can remain with our children back at home. We'll be explained the stories to tell our landlords.
Solidarity forever.
Nasio Kware, Lunchtime News.
Forever, for the union makes us strong.
Children drawn from all the 30 wards of Narok County had a rare opportunity of sitting in the county assembly chambers and debating on issues pertaining to children matters. The children highlighted issues affecting 100% transition to secondary schools in the county. Trevor Ngendo with the reports.
In the 2-hour sitting session at the Narok County Assembly, the young peoples drawn from all the 30 wards of Narok debated a motion on accelerating 100% transition to secondary school in the county.
Can't we compete in education facilities? We have people from all over despite the race or the tribe.
The young leaders raised various points such as the harmful cultural practices prevalent in the region, which they agreed mainly contributed to early marriages. Other challenges named by the children included high cost of boarding fees in secondary, bad reputation of certain secondary schools that discourage parents, and few secondary school chances compared to candidates who complete primary school in the county.
Naona kwamba ni heri aenda akawaleke. So us as children tunaomba wazazi waweze kutuunga mkono ili kila mwanafunzi yote ambaye amemaliza yote ambaye amemaliza grade 8 or class 8, tunaomba wazazi wetu tuweze kwa support our sisters and our brothers wote waweze kwenda to high school level.
Nafurahia sana jinsi ambavyo watoto wetu wasichana wameweza kufanya vizuri katika mjadala yao, na hata tunafurahia jinsi ambavyo watoto walifanya uchaguzi na kila constituency ya Narok iliweza kuwakilishwa. Tulikuwa na watoto 30 kuwakilisha ward zote 30 ya Narok County. Pia tulikuwa na watoto ambao ni wa special needs, na sisi tunashukuru wale sponsors wetu na hata wazazi, na tunashukuru hata county assembly kutukubali, kutupea nafasi kukuja kukua hapa.
The children also called on the county government to intervene by issuing bursaries to the needy students as well as building more secondary schools in the county. The children lauded the county speaker for giving them a unique opportunity to sit in the seats and have a taste of how the business is conducted in the house.
Got something new that
I've never gotten that. How the parliament is held, how the meeting is being ruled, and how are the rules, and what are the rules that are in there. And I knew that they are very nice. The work of the speaker, even if I knew, but I didn't know all details, but now I have gotten something.
In the next years coming, we shall be the MCAs and the governors of this county. So now we know how the assembly is conducted.
Reiterating that the experience encouraged them to be influential leaders in future and formulate laws to govern the nation. Trevor Ngendo, Lunchtime News.
You're watching the Lunchtime News. We are taking a short commercial break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Remember that where there was fire, ashes remain.
Yes, but she's in love with someone else.
With whom you forced her to get married.
You're a murderer. My father died and it was all your fault.
I didn't kill your father. You're crazy.
I am not crazy.
Move away.
He's your son. Don't you treat him like that. I will protect you.
You know that I'll ruin you if I open my mouth.
Our dad ordered you to leave him, but you're rolling in the hay with him.
Just leave us alone. You know you never change.
I'm sure that their love won't last too long. It's because of her, right? You leave me because of her.
Please leave your brother alone.
Someday you'll accept her.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house and get out of my daughter's life.
Gonzalo, please stop.
Get out of here.
Everyone is against us, but they can't make us stop from loving each other.
Dare to leave me.
Wakati wa election aitwe election Makoa. Ndio mheshimiwa.
Bibi yako anafanya kazi gani?
Anakuanga uchi mheshimiwa.
Havai nguo.
Anafaa nguo ni uchi. Anauza uchi.
Anauza uchi.
Yeye
unaona ni mtu anakaa mbisopu. Wewe unaweza expect mbisopu akuive.
Hakuna pesa ulinipatia. Mimi nitaondoka.
Enda uroge. Enda uroge. Yes. Enda uroge.
Yasmin. Can we meet next week?
Wewe mzee, hapa ni hoteli ya kawe apewe soda.
Sababu nini nyingine unaweza msaidia nayo?
Ndio nakuza hapa unaona soda ikiuza.
Do you have a new story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back. You're watching the Lunchtime News. A family in Kakamega is seeking legal support following a land dispute that has seen their youngest brother try to allegedly evict their mother from her piece of land. Pius Masai Mwachi, who was appointed an administrator of land, says attempts to dialogue with their younger brother have proved futile as he allegedly forged land documents and is proceeding to selling the land. Edwin Augustine with the reports.
Teresina Sibichi Mwachi is in distress following a land dispute that has seen their youngest son, Josephat Andalo Mwachi, try to force their mother out of her portion of family land. After the demise of her husband in 2007, Pius Mwachi, who is the eldest son, was appointed as the estate administrator according to the will written by her husband before his death.
Mtoto yangu mdogo wa kiume anaingilia shamba yangu, ananitesa, analeta watu wengi, anauza shamba yake yenye alikarua na baba yake, anachukua, anauza, anamaliza, anaingilia shamba yangu.
Pius claims Josephat has changed the ownership of his mother's land without their knowledge.
Shamba ambayo iko na case
kesi yake haishi, wesi chenga chochote pale ndani. Tangu mzee afariki mwaka wa 2007, miaka nyingi sana, na huyu mama vile anavyokaa hapa ni mgonjwa, kwa hiyo muda yote amekuwa mgonjwa hapa na pale, lakini shida mateso inatoka kwa mtoto ile amezaa, na mtoto ile amezaa ameshinda kuridhika na ile mali mzee alimgawia kabla hajafariki.
The family sued Josephat and the matter was later resolved after he apologized, only for him to revert to his antagonistic tendencies and encroaching on the land.
We agreed, na kesho yake wakakaa kama familia, wakajaribu kuonyeshana penye vile hiyo shamba ilitakana ikue, na wakaelewana, so nikashukuru. So to my surprise, ilikuja tena matunda ambayo ilikuwa imezaa ikaabort.
The government will beef security along the volatile Meru-Isiolo border by establishing a General Service Unit GSU camp at Lambwa. The government will also reintroduce Kenya Police Reservice KPR, who will support the police service to ensure law and order in the region.
Speaking in Isiolo after chairing a high-level security meeting that brought together the Eastern Regional Security Team as well as the county security teams from both Meru and Isiolo counties, the Secretary in charge of internal security at the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of Government, Wilson Njenga, said the process of vetting and recruiting suitable individuals who will be issued with Kenya Police Reservice guns will commence soon.
Tumekubaliana kwa sababu ya mpaka ile yetu na Samburu, tuta engage, recruit na kuvet National Police Reserve kuangalia pande hiyo. Wao raini yetu ya kwanza wakishirikiana na polisi wetu kuhakikisha usalama pande ile. Pande nyingine ya Meru pia tuta recruit National Police Reserve hiyo wasaidiane na polisi kuweka usalama.
The meeting comes days after 5 people from Meru County were killed in a revenge attack by Isiolo herders. Njenga warned residents and politicians from both counties of Meru and Isiolo against inciting locals and taking the law into their own hands.
Na wale wamehusika kwa mauaji lazima wasakwe, wakamatwe na washtakiwe.
In the meantime, Meru County Assembly Majority Leader Victor Karithi was on Wednesday arrested and grilled for hours by police over the Meru-Isiolo border clashes. He was, however, released on a police bond.
We advocate for what is right. We will not get cowed because as we talk now, people who I represent, a number of them are lying in a morgue. It is painful, and as a representative of the people, I will not get cowed by anybody.
Reporting for Time News, I'm Jelis Aladi.
UDA supporters from Ikinu Ward in Githunguri, Kiambu County staged a protest accusing a section of the UDA Dispute Resolution Board of bungling the win of their candidates. Elsewhere, a section of politicians in Kakamega under Azimio One Kenya Alliance have opposed the idea of ODM leader Raila Odinga, urging his supporters to vote a sex peace.
Aggrieved UDA supporters from the Ikinu ward in Githunguri, Kiambu County have threatened to leave the party if the UDA Dispute Resolution Board does not settle a matter at hand, where they alleged that the victory of their candidate Cedric Thuo Gachunga was stolen.
Tena wanasema ati wasimame ati turudi tena tukaugane tena. Haturudi tena, sisi tunajua Kasoga na Kasoga ndio ametosha.
Shida yenye tuko nayo kubwa ni ati tumechagua mtu kwa kumpenda sana, hana kakitu, ni mtoto yatima na tunampenda hivyo. Tumemchagua kwa roho zetu.
Ngene alirudia hiyo maneno akasema akona pesa na akona all the connections that he needs to win the certificate.
So in all fairness, the elections were free, fair and credible and transparent.
The supporters took issue with the manner in which one of the candidates who finished second managed to lodge a complaint, despite having been left behind by 269 votes by the candidate who won. Meanwhile, the United Democratic Alliance Roysambu constituency repeated nominations has seen Augustine Kamande Mwafrika clinching the UDA ticket after garnering 3,441 votes, followed by Kamau Vincent Gishomo with 1,887 votes. The hotly contested nominations were repeated after the exercise was marred with irregularities and malpractices.
Imekuwa ni safari mrefu, lakini kwa sababu ya nguvu za Mwenyezi Mungu na mapenzi yake tumeweza kushinda nominations za leo za UDA.
Watu wa Roysambu Ward nawashukuru sana kwa kuniamini. Si kitu rahisi sana kupata mtu kwa amejitokeza alafu mkamwamini. Asanteni sana.
Elsewhere, a section of politicians from the Western region have opposed the idea of ODM leader Raila Odinga, urging his supporters to consider a sixth piece in voting on the August polls.
I'm going to win this election by over 85% of the vote that will be cast in Kakamega. And I want...
Sisi wote tunakutafutia kura ukue rais wa Kenya. Mimi nikija kwa bunge nitakuunga wewe Raila mkono na chama changu cha DAP nikuunge mkono kwenda mbele. Lakini ukianza kusema mambo ya suti na sisi tunakuunga mkono, sasa hiyo unatufinya sisi. Kwa sababu mambo ya chama unajua nomination na watu wengine wanakuwa na interest zao. Kwa hivyo lazima ukubali kila mtu katika chama chao wakuunge mkono ukue rais wa Kenya.
Timothy Kipnusu for Lunchtime News.
All right, time for Channel 1 Business News. Sorghum farmers are banking on growing demand and contract farming, especially from brewers, to grow the land under the crop. The International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, ACRISAT, attributes the current low production of sorghum to use of traditional seeds, underscoring the need for commercialization of hybrid seeds to increase production and earnings.
Just 250,000 acres of land is under sorghum, which is very low when compared to Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda and Tanzania. These have seen Kenya import sorghum from Uganda and Tanzania to breach the deficit. However, those in the value chain believe production could increase from 0.7 to 1 metric tons per acre if farmers plant drought-resistant, high-yielding sorghum seed varieties.
We have always talked about seed, which is a good thing. The seed is required, but we can build volumes of these hybrids or seed or OPVs in one season. But what will drive the demand for seed?
It is the hybrid that will give us the yield better than whatever farmers use if it is open pollinated varieties.
Contract farming and setting a minimum price for sorghum have been cited as being among ways of boosting production.
Normally, the government, they support the price. Normally, that they do. They support the price. So if there is a big harvest, the price will go down. So the government, sometimes they adopt a system by which they keep the price that is profitable to the farmer.
The International Crops Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics, ICRISAT, is working with the breweries in testing new hybrid sorghum seed varieties in a seed multiplication venture ultimately aimed at increasing production.
The government is putting in place a legislative and regulatory framework to provide strict compliance mechanisms for handling and disposal of radioactive waste from nuclear power plants. Kenya Nuclear Regulatory Authority Interim Chairman Professor Dickson Andala says the move is aimed at strengthening the national capacity to respond to any radiological or nuclear emergencies.
More than 250,000 metric tons of highly radioactive waste sits in storage nuclear power plants and weapons production facilities worldwide. The Kenya Nuclear Regulatory Authority has lobbied for the enactment of laws that are in support of the development of nuclear technologies infrastructure and their long-term sustainability. The government plans to build a 540 billion shillings nuclear power plant with an initial capacity of 1,000 megawatts by the year 2027 at a site yet to be identified. However, However, there is the issue of proper handling of radioactive waste from the nuclear power plant.
Actually, my organization comes in handy in making sure that the people on the ground are getting the necessary information that they need concerning nuclear radiation and other aspects, and to see how far the regulatory authority goes in making sure that the people on the ground are safe and well taken care of when it comes to issues of nuclear radiation and other factors.
Speaking in Nakuru during a public participation session on the draft regulations on various usages of nuclear and radioactive usage, Professor Andala said the safe use of nuclear technology in power generation, medicine, agriculture and industry would propel Kenya to a new industrialized status as well as create more jobs.
What I have to say is, as far as we are concerned, the misconception is on the bad use of nuclear technology. But Kenya, we are exploiting the safe use and safe applications of nuclear technology, that is in medicine, agriculture, and also industry.
The proposed nuclear plant is expected to be constructed through a concessionaire as the government looks to expand the plant's capacity fourfold by 2035 under a build, operate and transfer model. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Dutamo Kami.
The Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya is calling for the establishment of sorting facilities within the country to improve the quality of second-hand clothes accessing Kenya, as well as create an avenue for re-export to neighboring countries. The association's chair, Teresia Njenga, says traders are often making losses due to poor quality clothes finding their way into the local market after sorting in other countries.
Once we have the sorting centers, we will have a lot of waste, and that's why we have to come up with ways of recycling even before we set up the sorting centers. A whole load of 40-foot container, if you are to get the raw materials that are locally used or are sold or are good, a whole container has about 60%. 40% is waste, and that one is going to generate a lot of income through recycling.
And sorting houses will become lucrative revenue bases, not just for the country where they're sorting, but even for the retailers. And you know, we are now the 4th largest apparels exporter in Africa. You could become the 1st.
Tish Kapkiburu, you are tuned to KBC Channel 1, equally to Kerry Aduku, Joseph Kimondo, and so on and so on. We're taking a short commercial break. We'll be back with more news in the world of business and sports. Stay with us. This week on Magical Scenes, we take you to City Park in the county of Nairobi. For anyone who uses Limuru Road will never thought of such a magical destination. A hidden jewel in the green city in the sun.
I come to rest here mostly because the climate is conducive.
Magical Scenes, Thursday, only on Channel 1.
Sexual harassment in the office place is an uncomfortable topic for both employees and employers, but it's a conversation that must be had.
The working conditions are supposed to be favorable for you to be productive in that workplace.
The animal sexual harassment in the newsroom has been such an eyesore, a scandal that we hardly speak about.
And these perpetrators thrive. They thrive on silence.
Be sure to tune in this Sunday to the Dadas Show at 4 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Wiki hii kwenye mkulima tutatayarisha sausages za uyoga.
Hizi sausage ninatengeneza vegetarians, watu wenye wana choose kutokula nyama. I also made them for people who eat wenye hawakuli nyama juu inawaharibikia.
Kisha tuangalie mashine 2-3 ambazo urahisisha kazi ya mkulima.
Share tractor ilianza kama project. Kwa tunatafuta mbinu ya kupunguza utumizi wa wanyama ama kutumia binadamu kama chombo cha kulima shamba na kufanya kazi ya machinery kwa shamba.
Ungana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa uhondo kamili.
Well, welcome back. Before we get back to the business news, we cross over to the county of Narok. My colleague, Kevin Washiro, is on the ground. He has been pitching camp in the area. This as nomination exercise continue in the area. Kevin, good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Irene Muchuma. We are still here in Narok County, where ODM party was conducting party nominations yesterday at Narok North constituencies. After the other constituencies, aspirants agreed for a consensus. Now, the nominations were peaceful, and the results were tallied at Masai Mara Girls Secondary School and announced at around 2 a.m. at night. And the winner was Alan Mengati, who garnered 3,357 votes, followed by Martin Olekamwaro, who garnered 2,099 votes, and the third person was Tempest Olentimama, who garnered 527 votes. In the neighboring county of Kajiado, there were also nominations at 2 constituencies. At Kajiado East constituency, where Kakuta Maimai won the race with 1,789 votes, followed by Koin Lompo with 1,581 votes. The third person was Douglas Oluoch with 56 votes. In Kajiado North constituency, George Yogo won the ticket for ODM with 501 votes, followed by Samson Muidi with 189 votes. Followed by Lawrence Lati with 209 votes, and then Samson Muidi with 189 votes, and then Solomon Kenyanjui with 105 votes. All those aspirants, we were expecting to have a meeting with them by the time this morning, but they are still held up in a meeting with the party, so we didn't get to get a word from them. Back to you, studio, Irene.
Kevin Washira, good to have you. Kevin Washira reporting live from the county of Narok. This as he gave us the results of the nomination exercise that have just come to an end in the region. Now to Jubilee politics. The Jubilee party has called on elders in Mount Kenya to rally the community behind the Jubilee party and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party so that the region can negotiate a solid bloc. The Jubilee party's Secretary General, Jeremiah Kioni, says the mobilization must also focus on the Jubilee party capturing as many elective seats as possible. This as a section of Jubilee supporters in Embu protested the issuance of nomination certificates to selected candidates, claiming it was infringement of their rights to nominate credible leaders.
The Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, while meeting the Kikuyu Council of Elders, rallied the Mount Kenya region to support the Jubilee party and ensure it captures as many elective seats as possible. Kioni rallied the elders to mobilize the region into supporting the party and the Azimio Brigade so as to give the region solid block for negotiations.
Wataendesha mambo ya mikutano ya kusaidia wale ambao watapata tikiti za Jubilee na hasa wale watakuwa ndani ya muungano wa Azimio wameweza kupata ushindi mwezi wa 8 ili tuweze kuunda serikali pamoja, serikali ambayo itakuwa na wengi katika bunge, katika county assembly ya Kiambu, governor na viti vyote vile ambazo tutakuwa tukitaka kushinda.
Kioni says the Jubilee Party has completed interviews for all candidates involved in the consensus process from last week and will embark on issuing certificates to qualified ones.
Na kama vile tulianza mambo ya nomination kwa kivyetu, mwelekeo mpya, hata kampeni za tutafanya na mwelekeo mpya. Kwa hivyo wale wenzetu ama wale wapinzani wetu ambao wanafikiria wanatuelewa, wakae wakifikiria hivyo hivyo. Sisi wenyewe tunajua ile tunafanya.
John Jacob Kuria, The Lunchtime News.
And let's get to the fields. Manchester City are back to the Premier League summit after they restored their 1-point advantage against Liverpool through 3-0 victory against Brighton last night at Etihad Stadium. Meanwhile, Arsenal have secured a place in the Premier League's top 4 after beating Chelsea 4-2 at Stamford Bridge.
Malangsar's going to chase on to get it anyhow.
Head coach Mikel Arteta believes Arsenal's stunning 4-2 victory over Chelsea will give his players the belief they can complete their top 4 mission. The Gunners bounced back from 3 consecutive defeats in style, ending their goal-shy form to move level on points with 4th-placed Tottenham after 32 games played each. Arsenal face tough tests against Manchester United and West Ham in their next 2 matches ahead of a visit to Spurs next month. But Arteta reckons their win at Chelsea can play a significant role in their important fixtures to come. Tearing Manchester United to shreds in a 4-0 win at Anfield on Tuesday. City were not so sparkling, but held their nerve to edge back 1 point ahead in the 10 other results. Everton drew 1-1 with Leicester City at Goodson Park, while Newcastle beat Crystal Palace to record a 6th consecutive win at St James Park.
Real Madrid need just 4 points to secure a 35th Liga title after beating Osasuna 3-1 at the El Sadar Stadium. The victory means Real have 78 points and hold a 17-point lead at the top over closest rivals Atletico Madrid, who are held to a goalless draw by Granada.
David Alaba gave Madrid the lead in the 12th minute before Ante Budimir hit back for Osasuna on the 13th minute.